A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This I believe. Sir Norman Angell was born in England almost 80 years ago. He was educated in France and Switzerland, and at 17 came to America, where he worked for 6 years as a farmhand, cowboy, and prospector. Returning to England, he became a newspaperman, started the Paris Daily Mail, entered Parliament, was knighted, and received the Nobel Peace Prize. Along the way, he found time to write 40 books and give innumerable lectures, particularly on economics and political science, the fields in which he is recognized as one of the world's leading experts. Here is Sir Norman Angell's creed.
I believe that the judgments upon which depend the character of human society are dictated by emotional forces that are blind in evil as well as good. I believe that at critical junctures, as often in the past, the evil will prevail over the good unless we face honestly the stark fact that these irrational forces do exist within us and do need conscious control, the discipline of thought and reason. I believe men capable of this self-discipline once they recognize the need for it. I believe in this capacity because we see it achieved daily within narrow limits, as in a court of law, where judge and jury set aside their natural emotions and apply cold reason to the evidence. But we evade this responsibility to rise above emotion, instinct, passion, wherever collective conflicts like those of nationalism, race, class war, political partisanship are involved. In those fields we have seen in our own generation irrational passion rising to the point of hallucination and insanity. The German nation, educated and cultured beyond most, engaged in the wholesale massacre of millions of human beings because they belong to the race which gave the world Jesus Christ. We have seen Russians exterminating on even larger scale millions of other Russians for the crime of coming from the wrong social class or expressing some heresy contrary to Moscow's dogma of the moment. We have seen Japanese exterminating Chinese themselves, other Chinese, for being communists or not being communists, Muslims in India killing Hindus killing Muslims. The passions here displayed are no greater than those revealed in the wars of one Christian sect with another, in the massacre of Protestants by Catholics on a St. Bartholomew's Eve, or of Catholics by Protestants in the Cromwellian campaigns of Ireland. We cannot condemn the auto da fe and forget the Negro lynchings, or cite the terrors of a Christian Inquisition and forget the terrors of anti-Christian revolutions. I believe that we can overcome these baser forces of the human spirit, but only if we recognize without evasion the fact of their presence within us. The navigator who complacently assumes that rocks and shoals do not exist will lose his ship. If I have no belief in the danger, I can have no sense of responsibility concerning it. The old problem of making reason prevail over unreason has been made a new one by the coming of the atom bomb, a tool the fanatics of the past did not possess. If the old passions and fanaticisms are to remain undiminished, that tool will be used, and urbanized civilization will be extinguished, leaving the way of life to be determined by the savages of the sheltered jungles and the nomads of inaccessible desert spaces.
They're the beliefs of Sir Norman Angell. He is still vigorous in body as well as in mind, and does not hesitate to take his yacht out into the North Sea alone.
Good evening. This is Ken Roberts inviting you to listen to another adventure of Casey, crime photographer. Ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Thunderbolt. night of storm. A public garage in a neighborhood of deluxe apartment houses and stately city mansions. An expensive car is driven in as an alert attendant. Good evening, Dr. Foley.
Hardly a good evening, Jim. By the way, this thing will need a wash and polish before you put it away.
I can see that, sir. Pretty bad weather out.
It's filthy.
I'll get a man to run you home, Doctor.
Don't bother. I'm dressed for rain and need exercise, so I'll walk as usual.
Whatever you say, sir.
No. Good night, Jim.
Night, Dr. Foley.
Pardon me,
Huh?
sir.
Yes?
May I trouble you for a match?
Oh, certainly.
Rotten weather, isn't it?
Yes, pretty bad. Look, here's a book of matches. You can keep them.
Sure you have others?
Oh, yes. Good night.
Excuse me, aren't you Dr. Foley?
Yes?
Oh, I've seen papers in the medical journals. Do you mind if I walk with you for a short distance?
Oh, if you wish.
I shall consider it a privilege.
Are you a physician yourself?
No, it was once my ambition to become a great brain surgeon such as you are, but now I'm just a sort of jack of all trades, which means, of course, that I'm what the world calls a failure.
Well, success and failure are matters of viewpoint.
Oh, how true. A man can be as he thinks. He can rise above misfortune and live in Valhalla with the gods. The thunder. To me, that is Thor, the mighty, wielding his hammer, forging his thunderbolts to strike the mountain giants. Do I sound mad?
Well, you sound interesting, Mr.
Thorson is my name, Doctor.
Thorson?
Yes. Oh, one of the streetlights is out here. Makes things quite dark.
Well, the storm probably knocked it out.
Yes, a minor thunderbolt of the storm, the feeble precursor of a greater one, a deadly one.
Deadly one?
Forged by the hammer of the son of Thor.
Here, what are you doing with that?
I'm wielding the hammer, striking down the giants, killing you!
Thor's son has cast his thunderbolt.
The murdered man is Dr. Bernard Foley, Captain Logan?
Yeah, the big brain surgeon, Miss Williams.
Casey, will this killing make headlines?
I'll say.
That kind of headlines that'll be followed by editorial blasts against us cops.
That means you haven't got any leads, pal.
All we've been able to learn so far is that Dr. Foley left his car in the Ardmore garage. And at 11:15, a patrolman found his dead body sprawled across the sidewalk, as you can see it now.
The spot must have been pretty dark before you cops got here with your flood lamps. I see that street light's out.
Yeah, the storm knocked it out, I guess.
Was Dr. Foley robbed, Captain?
No, we found a wallet full of dough in his hip pocket, Miss Williams. Robbery wasn't the motive for his murder.
How was he killed, then?
Well, the M.E. thinks the job was done with a small tack hammer.
What? A small tack hammer?
Yeah, the double-headed kind upholsterers use.
Well, Logan, that big playwright who was killed last week, Eli Whitlock.
Yeah, his skull was crushed with a small hammer, and his body was found on a dark street near his home and on a night like this.
I know. The similarity of the Whitlock murders naturally occurred to me. But Whitlock's killer was caught red-handed robbing the body, and he's now in jail.
The guy you nabbed for that job admits he went through Whitlock's pockets, but he's consistently denied the killing, Logan. Well, I believed his story that he found Whitlock lying in that doorway and figured he was drunk.
I haven't believed it, and I don't now.
Logan, I have a hunch that you're at the beginning of a very tough case.
Death is calling out.
Did I mistake our master's voice, Annie?
Casey! Williams!
We're on our way,
Here
Bert.
we are, fella. Here
All right, take over the desk till I come back. Now, you two come with me into the private office.
Okay.
Hey, why into the private office, Bert?
We'll soon find out. Close that door so we can have some quiet.
All right.
Now, you two covered the Foley murder last night
Yeah?
and the Whitlock killing last week.
You know we did.
Casey,
From the first, you believe the cops pulled in the wrong guy for Eli Whitlock's bump-off.
Yeah, and he was behind bars last night when Dr. Foley was killed.
I think you had the right idea. Sit down. Now, I'm going to read you a special delivery letter that just came in. Listen to this. Dear sir, last week the much overrated playwright Eli Whitlock met death. Last night the unduly acclaimed surgeon Dr. Bernard Foley met death in the same identical manner. I destroyed both of these frauds.
Hey,
Go on, Bert. Go ahead.
And my Thunderbolt shall soon destroy others.
Thunderbolt?
Shut up and get all of this.
All right.
The writer goes on. I concern myself only with the giants.
Giants?
Yes. But I shall slay other giants. On the next night of storm, another alleged giant shall die.
Another.
This time, a colossus of commerce shall meet his doom. A dealer in money, a seller of false security. Try to prevent his death, you will be powerless. That's all. No signature, of course.
Hey, let me see that copy.
Here,
of the letter.
hold it at the corner.
All right. Hand printed in block letters.
You think it's on the level, Casey?
Your guess is as good as mine, kid. The writer's obviously a screwball.
Well, if the letter isn't a gag, the screwball must believe he's Thor.
Who?
The ancient god of the Norsemen. Thor. The Thunderbolt.
Don't you know anything about the classics, Casey? Thor, strongest of gods, a magic hammer.
I know. Have you gotten in touch with the cops about this letter, Bert?
If they get in touch with this paper when they get something hot, they can read about it in our next edition.
Yeah, they'd be plenty sore if you hold out and something happens.
And the letter says another big man will die.
Sure. A dealer in money, a seller of false security. What does that tell you? The best protection for whoever it means is to read a copy of this letter in tomorrow's Express.
Yeah, that's true. And, of course, the threat may be strictly phony.
And anyway, the threat's made for the next night at storm.
Sure, and the weather report for tonight and tomorrow is clear as mud.
Bert.
What?
Look out the window.
Huh? Rain.
I hope, Bert, that this letter is as phony as your weather forecast.
Shall I serve you another drink before you leave, Mr. Clements?
No, thanks, Harry. I've already had more than I... Pardon me, should have, but tonight I was celebrating.
Well, you have every reason to celebrate from what you told us fellas behind the bar here.
That's right. I signed up another $1 million policy today, Harry. Another $1 million policy. I'm just what the fellas in my business say I am, the greatest life insurance salesman in the world.
Oh, I believe that, Mr. Clement. I believe it.
Gotta go home now.
Oh, I'll call the doorman and have him get a taxi for you.
No, I want to walk. Near you walk. Do me good. Night, Henry.
Good night, Mr. Clement.
Leaving, Mr. Clement?
Yes, George. Thanks. Open the door for me. Yeah, feels good. Rain feels good.
Pardon me, sir.
Huh?
May I trouble you for a match?
Match? Oh, sure.
Thank you. Aren't you Mr. Alan Clammert?
Well, how'd you know?
You were pointed out to me at the Underwriters' Convention several months ago as the greatest life insurance salesman in the business.
That's so.
Do you mind if I walk along with you?
Come along. Glad to have your company, Mr.
Thank you. And my name is Thorson.
Casey, you and Miss Williams have a nerve showing yourselves here at headquarters today. If you read the newspapers, you must know a guy named Clammert was hammered to death last night.
We've heard about it, Lou.
And I've heard that you two knew about the letter threatening his life.
Captain.
You and your smart city editor wouldn't tell us cops about it. Oh, no, we had to see it in print. Too late.
Now, listen, pal.
Don't pal me. Get out of this office
I
and
said
don't
listen.
come. But
Now, what would you have done if you had seen that letter? would it have told you that a life insurance salesman was the intended victim and a particular life insurance salesman named Clammett?
And wouldn't you have been inclined, as we were, to dismiss that entire fantastic letter as a gag? Now, be reasonable, Captain Logan.
Oh, I suppose you're right. Well, now all of us know the letter wasn't just a gag.
Yeah. Burke's turned the original letter over to you. Are there any fingerprints on it?
Only yours and Mr. Burke's.
Yeah, we expected that. Was the same weapon used this time?
Tack hammer, the doc thinks.
You know, Logan, there's a very obvious pattern of murder.
In its method, sure. Rainy nights, deserted streets, victims who habitually walk to their homes. All this crazy hammer swinger had to do was bust a street light on their route and wait for him in the dark.
Yeah, our street light was out last night.
Yeah, we figured it was much more than a coincidence this time, so we investigated and found a BB shot inside the broken globe.
A gun, huh?
Or a slingshot.
This killer isn't so crazy. He plans well in advance.
But he is crazy. He clearly establishes his insanity by the absence of normal motive for his murders.
Envy, Logan.
Envy.
Mm-hmm. Pushed to abnormal lengths by failure.
You mean because the killer's a failure, he wants to destroy men who are successful?
Well, to me, that seems to be his mania.
Yeah, you may be right in your theory, but it'd take my guys forever to check up on all the failures in town.
Well, I'm not a cop. This Thunderbolt screwball is your headache, Logan.
And you newspaper mugs will be handing me anything but aspirin. You make me out a dope because we pinched the wrong guy for the Whitlock job, and the public will never be told your city editor held out that letter on me. We cops didn't even have a chance.
Don't start that again now.
Why shouldn't I? When I think of it, I start to boil in it. Come in.
Hello, Captain. Glad to find you and Williams here, Casey.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Burke, city editor.
Burke, you're an unpopular guy around here,
Get out, boss, while the going's good.
I don't want him to get out. I want your city editor to stay until I've told him exactly what I think of him.
Wait, Captain. Hold everything. Come down here to make amends. With another Thunderbolt letter.
Thunderbolt?
Thunderbolt.
Same special delivery like the first.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
What's it say?
Ryder brags about keeping his promise last night and promises another murder when it rains again.
Another?
This time he's more explicit about his next victim. I think he means to kill a press photographer.
What?
Yes.
A press photographer?
You, Casey.
Burke, you're kidding.
Read that letter and see for yourself.
He isn't kidding, Miss Williams.
Oh.
Casey, this is just my headache.
The second letter from that Thunderbolt nut says he's going to kill a press photographer, Miss Williams?
It promises to kill Casey, Ethelbert.
Huh?
It doesn't promise anything of that kind. Only you, Logan, and Burke claim to see the inference in it.
All right, well, let's try it out on Ethelbert.
I want to see.
Show him that photostatic copy of the letter, but don't you try to rib me now, pal.
Here, Ethelbert, read this.
Lincoln Photostat Company Incorporated.
No, Ethelbert, down here.
Oh. The next to fall by my thunderbolt shall be a very little giant.
Little giant.
Shut up, Casey. Let him read.
You can't.
He practices press photography, a minor art.
A minor art, get that.
He dabbles in a field other than his own, crime detection, in which they credit him with brilliance when the fool is merely lucky.
Yeah, now that's something.
The Thunderbolt is forged and ready and will strike on the next night of storm.
Now, I ask you, Ethelbert, as a pal, can you find anything in that bunch of drivel that could possibly apply to me?
Casey, now I'm worried about you.
What?
The guy practically draws your picture and writes your name under it. He means you.
Photography department, Casey speaking.
This is Ann Casey.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to phone you, kid. The case of sniffles you went home to nurse.
Well, I feel a little better.
That's good.
Casey, it's starting to rain and thunder.
Yeah? Well, now, so what? Now, look, I've been needled about that letter until I'm sick, too. That nut may hammer somebody to death tonight, but his threat was definitely not directed at me.
Look, you'll walk blindly into any trap that he'd lead you to, and you don't know what he looks like.
Annie, please.
Okay, but will you promise me something?
Huh? What?
Well, can't you promise me before I tell you? I don't ask very much of you.
Well, all right, I promise.
Look, drive directly to your apartment house when you finish working tonight, and leave your car parked in front of the door instead of going to the garage and walking the 2 blocks home.
And
then go upstairs and lock yourself in.
Listen, Ann.
Now, you've promised, Casey.
Yeah, I've promised.
I'll phone you at 11:50. Now, be sure you're there.
Here's the old crate, Charlie. Put it away.
Want me to wash your car tonight, Mr. Casey? It'll be pretty spotty from this rain.
Who do you garage guys think I am, a millionaire? I bought a car wash from you a month ago.
Hey, you're a hard man to make money out of, Mr. Casey.
Go ahead, Charlie. Clean her up.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. On second thought,
Huh?
look, do that cleanup job tomorrow night, will you? And if Miss Williams ever asks you if I left the car here tonight, you tell her no, huh?
I ain't seen nothing of your car tonight, sir.
Thank you, pal.
Thank you.
All right, Charlie. I'm heading for home.
Night, Mr. Casey.
Pardon me, sir.
Go on.
May I trouble you for a match?
I guess so, yeah.
Miserable weather, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stinking. Here's my lighter.
Thank you. Say, aren't you Mr. Casey, the famous crime photographer?
Well, I don't know about the famous part, but I'm Casey.
I thought so. You've been pointed out to me at police headquarters.
What were you doing there?
Well, nothing in the business way. I was paying a social call on a detective friend of mine, Sergeant McCloskey.
Oh, you know him? I know McCloskey.
Do you mind if I walk along with you?
Why, no.
I've long been one of your admirers, Mr. Casey.
Huh?
Little men like myself can't help but envy you giants.
Giants?
I borrowed the word from your paper's publication of those so-called Thunderbolt letters. Interesting mystery, that.
Yeah. What's your racket, Mr.
Thorson is my name.
Thorson? Thorson? I see. Streetlights out just ahead of us. Dark stretch there.
It is dark. And listen to that thunder. An inspiring phenomenon, thunder.
Yes, I've heard that, like full moonlight, it does things to some people.
Yes, to those whom the gods make mad. To the wise people of ancient times, that which we call insanity was a God-given gift. Mr. Casey, it meant freedom.
And so I've read. We're coming into that dark stretch, Mr. Thorson.
Yes, we are.
Evening, Casey.
What?
It's me, Joe McCloskey.
Oh, this is an unexpected meeting, Sergeant.
Why, yeah. Hello, Carl.
You know this guy, Sarge?
Well, I oughta. Carl Thorson and I lived in the same block for about 10 years. Hey, what are you doing so far from home, neighbor?
I've been visiting friends, Sergeant. I'm walking to the bus stop.
You know, Thorson is a great fan of yours, Casey. He's always asking me questions about you.
You know Mr. Thorson well, Sergeant.
Well, so well that if he was anyone else, I'd be putting a pinch on it right now. You know, beat cops have been reporting all streetlights out of commission since that last Thunderbolt murder, Casey. And when Captain Logan heard one was out near your apartment, he sent my partner and me right up here on the jump.
I'm glad to know that you policemen are so efficient, Sergeant.
Well, you don't know the half of it, Carl. Ever since it started to rain this evening, Casey has been shadowed.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Come out of that doorway you ducked into, Red. Everything's okay. Well, come on, Casey. I'll escort you to your apartment house, and then the other guys and me can get home. And you'll be entirely safe once you're home.
I must hurry to catch my bus, Sergeant, so if you don't mind...
No. Run along, Carl. Run along.
I'll see you later. It's been a great privilege to meet you, Mr. Casey. Good night.
Good night.
He's a nice little guy, Thorson.
Yeah, isn't he? Kept me from making an awful fool of myself, Sarge. And with that, I've handed your boss, Logan, a swell laugh. He had me tailed tonight.
Well, the captain's been worried about you, Casey. Well, now, come on. I'll walk you to your door.
Knew that phone would be ringing. Till I unlock my door. Where's it lighted? Hello?
Casey, where have you been? I've been ringing you ever since 11
Okay, all right. I'm only a few minutes late now, Annie. I just got home, and look at it. It's 7 minutes to 12.
Well, what delayed you?
Whole flock of cops that my pal Logan sent to nursemaid me. I suppose you put him up to it.
No, he didn't give me the satisfaction of knowing he was having you guarded, but I'm glad to hear he did. You all right, Casey?
Of course I'm all right. Now go on to bed. Get over your sniffles and let me get some sleep.
Casey, I'll never worry about you again as long as I live. Good night.
Hey, Annie. Hey. Worried. But I should have known that letter couldn't have meant me. Very little giant. Now what? Hello?
So you are safely home.
You, Logan.
McCluskey just radioed a report that all was well with you. I phoned to double-check.
Okay, now you've double-checked, wise guy, and now you know that screwball didn't have his hammer out for me. Goodbye. And that's to all of you.
Not to me.
But... Thorson.
Nice of you to leave your door open. It made things so easy. I'll close it now.
What are you...
Be very still. As you see, now I'm armed with a revolver as well as my hammer.
I see.
Sergeant McCluskey and his fellow policemen made it impossible for me to stick to pattern, as he called it, but they went away. And I came back. Wasn't it fortunate that McCluskey is a neighbor of mine? He couldn't believe that the man he sees nearly every day is not the person that she thinks.
You certainly threw me off the track.
That doesn't matter. I shall keep my promise.
Your promise?
That you shall die tonight. Gods, unlike men, are bound by their promises.
Yeah, I see. Well, of course, you know, you've got to finish me off by 12 o'clock.
And I shall.
Yeah, you've got almost 5 minutes, fella. Plenty of time.
I'll watch the time. You're thinking, Mr. Casey, that when I approach you with my hammer, you'll seize it from me, and my gun also. But I shall throw the hammer as my father Thor throws it, with the speed of lightning and unerring aim.
Yeah, but you didn't kill those other guys by throwing your hammer. You held it in your hand and you hit them many times.
There was a reason for that.
Yeah, but a guy can neither throw a hammer or fire a gun with any accuracy in the dark.
You've smashed the lamp.
Thorson, you've shot your last Thunderbolt. Now we'll turn on another light.
Headquarters?
Give me homicide. Captain Logan.
Just a minute. Homicide Bureau, Captain Logan.
Captain Logan, this is Casey. Send some cops up to my apartment to collect the Thunderbolt killer.
The Thunderbolt?
Yeah, he's sleeping on my living room rug right now. He's even crazier than I figured he'd be, Logan. When he wrote that last letter, he was referring to me.
They took Thorson to the insane asylum, huh, Miss Williams?
Yeah, he's safely tucked away in a padded cell.
Ethelbert, what do you think of a man who's so eager to get his name into the obituary column that he disregards all warnings and even breaks the solemn promise exacted for his safety?
No, I'd say that guy was a suicidal lunatic, Miss Williams. And I know just who you mean. Suicidal lunatic. That's pretty good.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
This I believe. Sir Norman Burkett is an eminent judge and member of the Privy Council of Great Britain. He left school at the age of 16 to work in his father's dry goods store, and did not begin his legal education until in his 20s. Over the years, he achieved brilliance as a criminal lawyer. In 1941, he was appointed a judge of the King's Bench in the High Court of Justice, and he is now the Lord Justice of Appeal. Sir Norman, who is nearing 70, has a dry sense of humor and an extraordinary command of voice and language. Hear now the beliefs of Sir Norman Burkett.
In the parable of the sower, it is the grain that has no depth of root, that flourishes for a while and then withers away. So it is with what we fondly call beliefs. Unless they are firmly rooted, the grim test of experience will destroy them. But those that survive the ordeal will go from strength to strength. In a pretty full life, nearly 40 years of it spent in the law courts, I reckon to have seen human nature at its best and at its worst, and every shade of behavior in between. And I believe with a deepening intensity in the essential worth and dignity of the individual, and what is more, in his essential goodness, too. And in these things, I believe there lies the best hope of the world. I know what is said on the other side. I was a judge at Nuremberg for 12 months, and listened, among other things, to the story of the wholesale massacre of the Jews, and I know something of the horrible depths to which mankind can fall. But my belief in man's essential worth and goodness nevertheless remains firm and unshakable. I am with Robert Louis Stevenson in his view of humanity. They may seek to escape, and yet they cannot. They are condemned to some nobility. All their lives long, the desire of good is at their heels, the implacable hunter. Now, if these beliefs are well-founded, there are no limits to what mankind can do. Look at what man has already done. His upward climb has been a continual conquest. The advance of knowledge in every sphere, the growing triumph over disease, the continuous enlargement of man's opportunity, the increasing recognition of man's inherent dignity, all these things are witnesses to man's unconquerable mind. Apply that to the future. Take just one supremely important matter out of many. I believe that sovereign states, now so jealous of their sovereignty, will one day willingly defer to an international authority they have themselves created, and thus usher in the truly golden age of peace. Bliss was it in that dawn to be alive. And equally firmly do I believe in the value of each individual life. I believe that a happy and a useful life is what I may call the dedicated life. Not dedicated in the sense of what Kipling once called the plaster saints, no, but brave, blithe, courageous and true lives, dedicated to the things that are honourable and of good report among men. Follows that I believe in freedom for the full flowering of human personality, for the ceaseless extension of the frontiers of knowledge, and for the growth of human happiness. The time isn't long enough for me to expand these beliefs that have stood the test of time. But in a word, I believe that life is infinitely worthwhile, that each individual has the power to make it so, and so to contribute to the heritage the generations transmit, and to cooperate in the eternal and triumphant advance of mankind. All this I believe.
Those were the beliefs of the Right Honourable Sir Norman Burkett, Lord Justice of Appeal of Great Britain.
Crime does not pay.
All right, Williams, we're coming in.
Well, come on in, blast you. I can't stop you now. You broke my arm, that's what.
Foreman Williams, you're under arrest. Charged with forgery, resisting officers of the law, and murder.
Oh, murder, is it? Who did I murder, huh? You got a copper still, Ty?
You'll find out in due time.
All right, get off that floor now and come along. I demand proper medical attention. You can't prove no murder, you can't. Because you ain't got any corpus delicti. No body of the crime.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear A Crime, featuring Parker Fennelly. There's little doubt that one of the major motives, if not the major motive back of crime, is greed. For instance, Norman Williams was a fairly prosperous farmer in a western state at the turn of the century. But Williams, deep in his heart, wanted far more than he had, and didn't particularly care how he obtained it. His neighbors and the good people of the town nearby thought of Williams as another ordinary, decent citizen. That's how it happened that Ted Curtis, the owner and proprietor of Curtis Livery Stable, barely gave the matter a second thought the stormy night when Norman Williams turned up at the door of his establishment.
Could drown out here. All right. What's on your mind? Norman Williams. What you doing out on a night like this? No time for talk, Curtis. My horse took it into his fool head to bolt on account of the thunder. Will you rent me a rig? You ought to be putting up at the hotel. Will you lend me a rig? I'm getting home tonight, storm or no storm. Oh, all right, take it easy. No cause for temper. But inside, you can have the buckboard. That's good enough for a night like this. Give me a hand while I harness up for you. There you are, Williams. That'll be $5, payable now. I'll give you $2. You want to get home tonight? I'm risking the horse and the buckboard. $5. $2.50. Settle for $3. Here's your $3. Yeah. Now let me get out of here. Still don't see why you had to have a rig. Take it easy now. Take it easy. Road's probably pretty bad out your way. I'm driving here. Get up. And don't use that whip touching your head, sir. Nosy Parker, that one. Oh, there. Oh, put up. All right, ladies. Climb aboard, and here we go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams.
Why, think nothing of it, ladies.
You've gone to a deal of trouble for us. Wasn't necessary, really.
Wait a minute. You didn't say you had somebody out there with you? All set, ladies. Get up. Get on.
Who is that, Mr. Williams?
Oh, just the livery stable fella. He's a busybody. Wants to know everything.
I must say, Mr. Williams, you've been to a deal of trouble for two folks you never saw before they came off the train tonight.
Well, you're going to be my neighbors, ain't you? Least I can do is fetch you to your house, night like this.
We could have stayed at the hotel.
Ah, that old flea bag. Tom Palmer, he owns that. Spends more time being county clerk. And the hotel shows it, too.
Is it far to our place, Mr. Williams?
Why, just up the road a piece. About a mile past mine. Easy, boy. Whoa.
We've Brandon with here.
Yeah, who's he?
My brother.
But, like you said, your father left you the homesteader.
That's right, Mr. Williams. You say something, Mr. Williams?
No, I was just thinking. Ain't much of a son and a brother to let his ma and his sister travel way out west all by themselves.
Oh, Stanley's a good boy. But we couldn't afford but 2 tickets. Still have enough left for incidentals.
Oh, there. City boy, city. Oh.
Will we make it to our place, Mr. Williams? It's considerable out of your way, too. You're mighty nice to take such trouble.
Why, matter of fact, ladies, if you wouldn't mind my hospitality, I'd be glad to put you up at my place tonight and take you over to yours in the morning.
Oh, that'd be just more trouble. Or, yes, Ma. Well, Alma's probably right, Mr. Williams. We'll be happy to accept your offer. I must say, Mr. Williams, you make a mighty good cup of coffee.
Thank you, ma'am.
You've got a nice place here, Mr. Williams.
Well, all you've seen of it, Miss Johnson, is the kitchen. And with burlap bags all over the floor on account of the wet.
Shows you're neat, Mr. Williams.
Well, I scratched what I've got out of the dirt. You know, this is rough country out here. Soil's none too good either.
We heard it was very fertile.
Yeah? Then you heard wrong. It's a back-breaking job getting a living here. Nothing for a couple of women. Now, unless you sell the place.
But if the land's bad, who'll buy?
I would. Seeing as how you're my neighbors and all.
But what kind of a price, Mr. Williams?
Oh, I couldn't give you much. 50 cents an acre, maybe?
It's not much. Hardly pay our fare back home. Aren't you in an awful hurry to buy our place, Mr. Williams?
Just a friendly offer, Miss Johnson.
Maybe we should consider it, Alma. It's my land and I'm not selling. Not until I see it, anyhow.
Well, nobody else will buy. And if you wait, my offer goes down to 2 bits an acre.
You're trying to force a sale, Mr. Williams. All this hospitality is nothing but a come-on.
I'm telling you to sell. You understand?
Alma, see. And I won't sell. What are you writing?
Writing a bill of sale. That's good as a deed anytime. From you to me for your homestead.
I told you, Mr. Williams, I'm not selling my land.
And I say you are. Now, sign your name. Right there.
Oh, don't be frightened, Mother. This nasty old man doesn't scare me.
I ain't worried about you, young lady. I can take care of you, all right. But you might be worried about your mother.
You wouldn't dare touch us.
No? Who's to stop me? How do you like this?
Oh! You killed her.
Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. I just knocked her out, like I would a goat before I cut its throat.
No, that knife.
Will you sell that land?
No, you can't make me sell it. And don't you touch my mother. It's not the land. There's something on it.
Sure. But not on it. Under it. Oil. And I'm the only one that knows.
What are you doing with my mother? Let go of her hair. Stop it.
I'm just putting her over on the burlap. I wouldn't want to mess up my kitchen. Now, are you selling?
You wouldn't dare kill my mother.
What do I care? Nobody knows who you are or where you come from. Your brother, he ain't got the money to get here. And I can forge your name to the bill of sale just as easy as not. Now, sign it. Sign it.
I can't. Don't make me. Don't force me to. It's all we've got, please. Stop. Let my mother alone.
Just you watch. Wake up. Come on, wake up. What's that? Get a shovel. Well, sound sleeper, son.
Oh, you. Are we almost there, conductor?
I never saw anybody sleep like you do in these hard seats. Hey, what's all this about a shovel?
I don't know. Must have been dreaming. Goes kind of like the wheels, doesn't it? Get a shovel. Honey. How much more time, son?
3-4 minutes, we'll be in. Better get your bag out the platform. This is just a flag stop, you know, and he's blowing for the crossing now. Come along, son. Beats me why anybody wants to come to this down in the first place.
Are you Mr. Curtis?
Yeah, I am. Why?
My name is Johnson, Stanley Johnson.
You a drummer?
No, I'm not selling anything.
What then?
I'm looking for some information. A man at the station said you know everybody here about it.
Yeah, I guess I do. A&P business, sides the stable. You looking for somebody?
Yes, my mother and my sister, Sarah and Alma Johnson.
Nobody with that name around here.
But there must be.
If I don't know them, they ain't here.
But they came here 4 years ago. My father left them some land.
Around here, you say?
Yes. I bought their train tickets myself.
What land?
I believe it was called the Swenson Homestead.
Norton Williams has that land. Filed a deed on it 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Yeah, there was oil on it. Petered out after a while, but Williams turned himself a nice penny while it lasted.
4 years ago? Mr. Curtis, you're sure there never were any women named Johnson out here?
Huh?
My mother was a small woman. Gray hair, blue eyes. But my sister was tall and very strong.
Say, now wait a minute.
Then you did know them?
Not so fast, son, but I do recollect one night they had a bad storm. Seems like more than 4 years ago, though.
Go on, Mr. Curtis, go on.
Well, Norm Williams got me out of bed, said his horse bolted. I had my buckboard. I remember he must have wanted it bad. He paid $3. Old job went and Williams wanted $1.50. He drove out in a hurry. I remember now. I saw him the light of my lantern and the lightning, and he picked up 2 women who were waiting in the road for him.
Were they named Johnson?
Well, I don't know. I never saw him again. One was short, another was tall. I guess I remember because I thought at the time it was kind of funny, him paying all that money and letting the women stand out there in the rain.
Mr. Curtis, would you rent me a rig and give me directions to the old Swenson Homestead?
I'll drive you out there myself and charge you only $2.
It's a deal. And could we take along a shovel?
Sure. What for?
Just a hunch. Something I thought of on the train.
I don't know what you think you'll find, son. You sure do keep it that digging. How far down do you think you are?
Maybe 4 feet. Hey, look at this.
There ain't nothing but an old burlap bag.
Yeah, I know. But look at it.
Huh? Looks like somebody's been butchering a cow.
So you think it's blood, too?
For sure. Beef blood.
Are these animal hairs, Mr. Curtis?
Well, sure must have been a gray-haired cow with long hair, Mr. Johnson. Hey, you! What are you doing on my land?
Don't tell him my name.
Hey! What's this all about? Now, you got no cause to be sore, Norman Williams. Just this here young fella.
I've been demonstrating a new shovel to Mr. Curtis.
Yeah? Curtis has got plenty of his own land to dig on. You're lying.
I resent that, sir.
And I say get. You're trespassing here. Now get before I use my shotgun on you. Now, you got no cause. I don't know what you're after, Curtis. But ever since you've been made deputy sheriff, you're just too blame nosy. Yeah. Now, you get off my land, both of you. Yeah, he's within his rights. Let's go.
Yes, of course.
Next time I find you here, I won't be firing over your head. Blame fool's going to get into trouble with that temper here's one of these days. Yeah.
He's in trouble now. But he doesn't know it yet.
That's up. He's within his rights. No warrant, so we were trusted.
But I've got the burlap. Miss Curtis, you're driving me straight to your district attorney. With the same burlap bag safely under the seat, Stanley Johnson and Ted Curtis drove to the county seat. The deputy sheriff brought them in to see the district attorney quickly. That gentleman listened to the story as Stanley told it, and then stated flatly,
Curtis, if you weren't here to vouch for Johnson's story, I'd think he was crazy. Why, I've known Norman Williams all my life. He's a respected citizen and well off since he struck that pool of oil.
Yeah, it happened, sir, just like the young man said.
May I ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Do you remember any of the details of Williams getting title to the Swenson homestead?
Well, nothing much. He filed a bill of sale in place of deed, if I remember correctly.
Did anybody ever suspect there was oil hereabouts?
Oh, from time to time there's been a little. They had a well going over on the Myers place about 10 years ago, and another on the Korowskis.
How did they find those sources?
Well, I remember about Joe Meyer. He was sinking a well for water, and he got oil.
Any surface indication?
Well, sometimes a well or a water hole will show an oily surface.
Could Williams have noticed that on the Swenson property?
He might have. Roamed it pretty freely up until the time he bought it.
Right after he got it, he was pretty busy, though. He had a big brush fire going there one day. About 4 years ago, too, that was.
Brush fire?
Now, don't go thinking about murder again, son.
I'm sorry. After all, they were my mother and sister, you know.
Young fellow, you seem pretty positive about all this.
Well, maybe there isn't any evidence. But if it's all right with you, I'd like to examine that bill of sale. After all, I suppose if she is dead, I'm my sister's heir.
I remember it perfectly. 4 years back. Seemed a little irregular, but perfectly legal. Yeah, here it is. The letter, you see. Dear Mr. Williams, carrying out our agreement, this letter will advise all and sundry that they understand for proper consideration sells to you with all right and title of tract known as the Swenson Homestead, of which I am a sole owner of record. Very truly yours, Alma Johnson.
May I see that, Mr. Palmer?
Sure can. There's my stamp on it, registered. County Clerk, Herkimer County.
I see that. But, gentlemen, as heaven is my witness, this is not my sister's handwriting.
What? You suggesting forgery, Mr. Johnson?
I know it. That land was all my mother and sister had in the world. They'd never sell it without consulting me first. And I know Alma's handwriting as I know my own.
I see. Would you tell that to a grand jury, Mr. Johnson?
I tell them a lot more. I tell them Williams murdered my mother and my sister.
Oh, easy, son. Easy now. You'd have a hard time proving that.
Why? There's blood and hair in that burlap bag.
We don't even know if it's human blood, much less your family's.
Then I say find out. Make tests. I know I won't rest until the man who killed Alma, my mother, is made to pay for his crime.
Get me.
Williams, you in there? Definitely, we'd like to talk to you.
I don't want no visitors today. Come back tomorrow.
Sorry, Williams. We gotta see you now. Come on out, Williams. Oh, we'll come in.
You don't come on my property, Ted Curtis. I got a warrant.
We have a warrant.
Yeah. Let's see you serve it, Sheriff.
All right, Williams. You're under arrest.
Hey, come and arrest me. Will they? No lawmen will get in here. Oh.
All right, Williams, we're coming in.
Come on, Doctor. I can't stop you now. You broke my arm, that's what.
Norman Williams, you're under arrest. Charged with forgery, resisting officers of the law, and murder.
Oh, murder, is it? Who did I murder, huh? You got a copper stillet tie?
You'll find out in due time. All right, get off that floor now and come along.
I demand proper medical attention. You can't prove no murder, you can't. You ain't got any copper stillet tie. No body of the crime.
Mr. Johnson, you're under oath. You're certain that your mother and sister came to this town to take possession of the property known as the Swenson Homestead?
I'm positive, sir. My father acquired the property years ago. He willed it to my sister. My mother and sister came here to live until such time as I could join them. I never saw them again.
Mr. Curtis, the night of that storm 4 years ago, did you see anyone besides Mr. Williams when you rented him the buckboard?
Well, I didn't know him, sir, but I did see two women by the light of my lantern and the flash of lightning. One was short and elderly, and the other one was...
Dr. Sims, are you an expert on blood analysis?
I am, sir.
You conducted on the blood on the burlap bag marked Exhibit A for the state.
I did.
And what did you find?
I found it to be human blood beyond any doubt.
Did it take a large amount of blood to make that stain?
No one could lose that much blood.
Dr. Sims, please answer the next question carefully. We're attempting to set a precedent in this case, as the state has conceded that no actual corpus delicti has been found. Dr. Sims, about the gray hairs found on that burlap bag.
They are human hairs, sir.
Yes, and Doctor, did they come from the head of a living or dead person?
The roots are still in the microscope. Hair from a corpse, sir, never has the roots attached.
Then, as an expert witness, Dr. Sims, what are your conclusions?
That there is evidence of a corpus delicti, even though none has been found. Someone was alive on the defendant's premises, and that someone was killed before he or she left.
Mr. Williams, answer me this. Did you know the people you are accused of murdering? And did you murder them?
I never saw them. I never killed no one. And nobody can prove that I did. But this county is going to pay through the nose for my broken arm.
It is our contention, precedent-setting though it is, that through the brilliant microscopic analysis of Dr. Hannah Sims, we have proven that someone was murdered, and by this defendant. True, as my learned colleague has emphasized so often, there is no actual corpus delicti. But we have evidence that one did exist, which was later destroyed in a certain brush fire on the defendant's property, if in no other way. On this evidence, we ask that your very...
Mr. Foreman, has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, sir.
And what is your verdict?
We find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree, and so say we all.
You can't do this. You can't. I'll appeal to every court in the state. There wasn't no corpus. No corpus. You can't convict without a corpus. You can't convict without a corpus.
Crime does not pay. Now, here in person is Parker Fennelly.
The case of Norman Williams, as you heard it, is one of the famous cases in legal history. As might have been expected, his conviction was appealed all the way to the highest court of his state, and there it was upheld. And it's interesting to note that this case was a prime legal point in the conviction of Bruno Richard Hauptmann for the murder of the Lindbergh baby. However, to me, it's even more interesting that the wheels of the law were set in motion in this case by a plain citizen, a young man very much like ourselves, who refused to believe that his mother and sister had merely disappeared. Once the law began to move, it never stopped. The truth had been proven in open court, demonstrating once again that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Parker Fennelly. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark D. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton D. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
This I believe. What really important truths have come out of man's endless examination of himself? Norman Cousins, editor of the Saturday Review of Literature, is intimately familiar with our heritage of books. so he is eminently well equipped to assess these truths.
Ever since I was old enough to read books on philosophy, I have been intrigued by the discussions on the nature of man. The philosophers have been debating for years about whether man is primarily good or primarily evil, whether he is primarily altruistic or selfish, cooperative or combative, gregarious or self-centered, whether he enjoys free will or whether everything is predetermined. As far back as the Socratic dialogues in Plato, and even before that, man has been baffled about himself. He knows he is capable of great and noble deeds, but then he is oppressed by the evidence of great wrongdoing. And so he wonders. I don't presume to be able to resolve the contradictions. In fact, I don't think we have to. It seems to me that the debate over good and evil in man, over free will and determinism, and over all the other contradictions, it seems to me that this debate is a futile one. For man is a creature of dualism. He is both good and evil, both altruistic and selfish. He enjoys free will to the extent that he can make decisions in life, but he can't change his chemistry or his relatives or his physical endowments, all of which were determined for him at birth. And rather than speculate over which side of him is dominant, he might do well to consider what the contradictions and circumstances are that tend to bring out the good or evil, that enable him to be a nobler and responsible member of the human race. And so far as free will and determinism are concerned, something I heard in India on a recent visit might be worth passing along. Free will and determinism, I was told, are like a game of cards. The hand that is dealt you represents determinism. The way you play your hand represents free will. Now, where does all this leave us? It seems to me that we ought to attempt to bring about and safeguard those conditions that tend to develop the best in man. We know, for example, that the existence of fear and man's inability to cope with fear bring about the worst in him. We know that what is true of man on a small scale can be true of society on a large scale. And today, the conditions of fear in the world are, I'm afraid, affecting men everywhere. More than 2,300 years ago, the Greek world, which had attained tremendous heights of creative intelligence and achievement, disintegrated under the pressure of fear. Today, too, if we read the signs correctly, there is fear everywhere. There is fear that the human race has exhausted its margin for error, and that we are sliding into another great conflict that will cancel out thousands of years of human progress. And people are fearful because they don't want to lose the things that are more important than peace itself: moral, democratic, and spiritual values. The problem confronting us today is far more serious than the destiny of any political system or even of any nation. The problem is the destiny of man. First, whether we can make this planet safe for man. Second, whether we can make it fit for man. This I believe, that man today has all the resources to shatter his fears and go on to the greatest golden age in history, an age which will provide the conditions for human growth and for the development of the good that resides within man, whether in his individual or his collective being. And he has only to mobilize his rational intelligence and his conscience to put these resources to work.
That was Norman Cousins, editor of the Saturday Review of Literature, and one of this country's most active and widely traveled men of letters.
Calling all detectives. A man whose mind contained 1,000,000 facts walked out on a stage and could barely remember his own name. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. People lose all sorts of things, and when they do, a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, sometimes gets the case. There's something about the way people in show business carry themselves that identifies them every time. That's how I knew the man who entered my office was showfolk even before he handed me his card. I glanced at it, then, "Sit down, Mr. Mysto. You're a magician, eh?"
I, Mysto, a magician? Certainly not. I, Mr. Browning, am a memory marvel,
My brain is the repository of 1,000,000 interesting facts. Ask me anything, anything. I grinned. Okay. What's the population of Nome, Alaska? Mysto wrinkled his brow. Nome, Alaska? Childishly simple, but I don't know the answer. I stared at him. Well, how about this one, then? What's the area of Texas? The area of Texas is... I'm afraid I don't know. Mr. Browning, I can't remember anything. With my memory gone, my living is gone. You're a detective. Help me find my memory. When Mr. Mysto, the memory marvel, lost his memory, he asked me to help him find it again. I was driving Mysto back to the Casablanca Club, where he was the headliner of the floor show. My memory deserted me as I went on for the second show last night. I just blanked out, Mr. Browning. I pretended to be sick, got off somehow, but I don't know what I'll do tonight. If this gets out, I'm finished, washed up. What's your real name? Where do you come from? George Peabody, Erie, Pennsylvania. Why? Just a test to see whether you had a complete amnesia, but you haven't. I shook my head. I understand. Well, I'll do what I can. There was a swarthy, heavy-set man waiting in Mysto's dressing room. Mr. Damati, Mr. Browning, Jerry here is a friend of mine. Damati glowered at Mysto.
Don't care who he is. All I want to know is, you in shape to go on tonight or not?
Mysto looked at me helplessly. I twisted my face into a leer. He'll go on tonight, but first he pays me the money he owes me, see? Mysto's mouth sagged open in surprise, but Damati got it, or thought he did.
Oh-ho, so that's what made you sick. Okay, Mysto, if you got yourself on a hook to gamblers, you get yourself off the best way you can. But remember, you work tonight or you're through.
Poor Mysto looked ready to collapse. I helped him to a chair. I hated to do that, Mysto, but it's the only kind of alibi a man like Damati understands. Mysto nodded weakly.
Yes, but what happens tonight? I can't go on. I don't even remember the capital of Maine.
It's Augusta, and we'll worry about tonight when we come to it. Now, what happened here last night? Mysto looked around, shrugged.
Nothing.
You're not even trying. Did you have a visitor, Damati, somebody in the show, or a stranger?
I'm trying to think. Visitor. Oh, it's no use. I can't remember.
What's your name?
George Peabody.
Where are you from?
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Who was here last night?
Janie Morland. Janie Morland? Yes. She's the singer.
Okay. Now we're getting someplace. Why did Janie visit you?
Just to talk. She's a nice kid, young enough to be my daughter. Oh, I wouldn't want that to get around. She comes from Crawford, PA, which practically makes us hometown neighbors.
What did you two talk about last night?
Just hometown stuff.
Let it go for now. You'd better start dressing for your act. I'll go try to find Janie Morland.
But I tell you, I can't go on.
Don't worry about it. Just get dressed. Nobody answered my knock at Janie's dressing room. I tried the doorknob, was just about to go in when...
Just a minute, Bob. Where do you think you're going?
I turned to face Damati. Well, I wanted to talk to Miss Morland. Figured she could give me a line on this Welsher Mysto.
Now, look, pal. If Mysto owes your dog, get it. But don't bother the rest of my people. Anyway, you won't find Jenny. She quit last night. Walked out.
Walked out or was carried out?
I don't care whose mob you're tied up with. Get out of here and stay out.
I got, but not out. Instead, I went back to Mysto's dressing room, opened the door. Mysto, I apologize in advance for what I'm going to do. Slugging Mysto was a dirty trick, but it was the only positive reason I could give him for not going on with his act. I went out to my car, drove back to my office, and really went to work with the telephone. What I wanted was to locate Janie Morland, if she was alive. At the fourth booking agent I phoned...
Sure, Jenny quit the Casablanca Club. Who are you and what's it to you?
I explained who I was and how urgent it was for me to get in touch with her. Finally, I learned that Jenny was working at another club way out on Green Oaks Road. I had a long talk with Janie after she'd finished the first show. Then I got back into my car, drove to the hotel where Mysto told me he was staying. I found Mysto in bed, nursing the biggest shiner I'd ever seen.
Oh, you didn't restore my memory, and you almost killed me.
Relax, Mysto, your memory will come back. And as for that wallop, I didn't know it at the time, but you had it coming. I pulled up a chair, sat down at his bedside. Mysto, you told me yourself you're old enough to be Janie Moreland's father. Well, you didn't remember that last night. You mistook her homesickness for love, asked her to marry you. And when she refused, you got nasty about it. She finally slapped you, said she'd tell Damati. Mysto's stricken face told me that memory was flooding back. You know you've been slipping. Your kind of act isn't as popular as it used to be. If you got fired for bothering a performer, you'd be washed up. But Janie knew that, too. She's a trooper, so she said nothing. Just walked out on the show. Now, what's the area of Texas?
267,339 square miles.
Okay. Your memory block is cured. You owe me $250 and Janie Moreland a formal apology. In writing. And that's all there was to finding a missing memory. Like I said, if you search your mind for the things you've forgotten, you'll generally find, if you find at all, that they're the things you're ashamed to remember. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
This is where he phoned from, and good Lord, there he is, lying under the call box, dead. His throat cut from ear to ear. And there, look, right next to him. Another of those devilish chessmen.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a moment in Death Across the Board. And now, Murder at Midnight, Tales of Mystery and Terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Robert Newman is Death Across the Board. It's about 11 o'clock on a sultry summer evening, and Dr. John Strand is standing in front of the window of a pawn shop in the oldest part of the city. There is the usual collection of odds and ends on display, and also some items that are rather unusual. On a sudden impulse, he pushes open the door and goes in.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Is there anything I can do for you?
No, thank you. If you don't mind, I'd just like to look around.
By all means. I just thought that if there was something in particular you were looking for, I have some very fine glassware. Hobnail, flint, and sandwich glass.
No, thank you. I don't go in for glass collecting. Hello, this chess set. It's a very interesting one. And a very interesting game you're playing.
My dear sir, you have no idea how interesting.
Whose move?
White's.
Oh, well, then White should win in 6 moves.
That, sir, is very much open to question.
Well, perhaps we can play sometime. How much for this set?
Oh, I'm awfully sorry, but it is not for sale.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yes. However, if you are interested in chess and chessmen, I know of a set that I think might appeal to you. It is an Arabian set, 12th or 13th century ivory, reputed to have belonged to Salah ed-Din. The white pieces are Saracen warriors, and the black pieces are Crusaders.
You have it here?
Unfortunately, no. But it is not very far away, and if you thought you'd like to see it...
Well, if it's not too expensive, and if you're sure it's no bother...
My dear sir, don't give it another thought. I will be most anxious for your reactions, even if you do not buy. The address is 23 Vallon Place. That is down 2 blocks and 1 to your right. Ask for Felix, and tell him that Raphael sent you.
23 Vallon Place, and ask for Felix.
I will phone him. Tell him to expect you. Your name is...
Strand. Dr. John Strand.
Very good, Dr. Strand. Somehow I have the feeling that we shall see each other again.
All right.
Perhaps even have a chance to play that game you mentioned before.
Who is that? Who is there?
Felix?
I said, who is there?
My name is Strand. Raphael sent me over here. He said he'd phone you and tell you...
Just a moment.
How do you do? I hope I'm not disturbing you.
Very well. Come in. Now, hold your hands up.
What? I'm afraid there must be some mistake.
There is. You have made it, thinking you could come here and take me in this way.
Well, but this is ridiculous.
I said hold your hands up. Keep them up.
Now, look, Felix, if that is your name, will you do me a favor and call Raphael? He sent me over here to look at a chess set.
And don't move, do you hear? Stay right where you are with your hands behind your head. You so much as move. Hello? Oh. Hello, Raphael. Yes. He just got here. What do you think? I shall take him into the back room. Do it there. No. No one will hear. Right. I'll call you back. Very well. In there.
What for?
Because I said so, that's why. Conceal! What? Drop that gun! Drop it, you hear? Oh, my wrist! I should have killed you right away!
Okay, now get up and tell me what this is all about. You hear me? I said get up. Felix. Dead. Hello?
Felix?
I'm sorry, he can't come to the phone just now.
Oh, Dr. Strand. Congratulations.
What? Who is this?
This is Raphael. Now, do you think it is possible for White to win in 5 moves?
Well, what do you mean? What in heaven's name...
You killed him, did you not? Of course you killed him, or you would not be speaking to me now. May I suggest that you go through Felix's pockets, take out the most interesting thing you find there, and bring it to my shop?
What? Hello? Hello? Raphael! Goes through his pockets. Well, I've got to get to the bottom of this and find out what it's all about. A wallet, keys, and a chessman. A black rook. A black rook. All right, Mr. Raphael. I think perhaps I'll take you up on that. I will go back to your shop.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Yes. Where's Raphael?
I'm sorry, he's not in right now, but... Are you Dr. Strand?
I am.
I'm Alice Hines. He must have been expecting you, Doctor. He asked me to give you this.
What is it?
I don't know, but...
Another chessman. A white knight.
Oh, yes. Mr. Raphael is quite a chess player.
Yes, he's more than that. He's a murderer.
What?
Or at least he has friends who are.
What do you mean?
I mean just that. He sent me to see someone, a man named Felix, to look at a chess set. And when I got there, this Felix pulled a gun on me, and when I tried to get it away from him, it went off and killed him.
Oh, no.
Oh, don't look so surprised and innocent. You work for him. You must know what it's all about. And that's what I came back here to find out before I called the police.
There must be some mistake. Some horrible mistake.
Yes.
I've only been working here for a few weeks, but he's been very nice to me. Kind and considerate.
A mistake, eh? Then why did he phone Felix while I was there? How did he know he'd been killed? Why did he laugh about it and tell me to come back here?
I don't know, but I can't believe that about him. I won't.
No, well, we'll see what the police have to say about it. Where's your phone?
Back there. But if you're serious about it, you don't have to bother calling them.
Why not?
Riley just went past here a few minutes ago. But there he is, up at the corner.
Fine, that'll save some time. Officer, would you come here a minute?
Oh!
Good Lord, someone shot him.
That woman hiding behind that car there. The woman in black. And she's coming in here.
Don't just stand there. Get inside and shut the door.
You shot Riley. Killed him, just like that.
Yes, 6 months I've been waiting, trying to find out who got my Ben. Now he'll rest in peace. Where's Rayfield?
Rayfield?
Yeah, it was him that got the dope for me. Told me how to knock the cop off, and he told me to come in here afterwards.
Well, Miss Hines?
I still can't believe it. I can't.
You can't believe what? Why are you looking at me so funny? Say, whose side are you on anyway?
Not ours, my dear. What? Not on our side.
Ah, so that's it. I just took it for granted that... Okay, get your hands up and keep them up. What'll I do with them, Rayfield?
I leave that to you, my dear. After all, they are witnesses.
Yeah, that's right.
May I recommend the cellar right through that door there? It's quite secluded and quiet.
Yeah, okay. Get moving.
I repeat, Miss Hines, well...
It's mad. Fantastic. What are you going to do to us?
You can't be that dumb, babyface. 6 months I've been wearing black for the only guy I ever loved. Finally, I got the guy that got him. You think I'm going to leave the two of you around to put the finger on me?
You mean you're going to kill us? But you can't.
No. Seems to me I did a pretty neat job on that flatfoot. After all, they can't burn you more than once, can they? Okay, open that door and go on down.
Allow me, madam.
Never mind, wise guy. You go down first and then babyface.
Well, it's not very good manner.
No, I'm not going to let you do it. Give me that gun. Look out, you fool. Look out.
Down there after her. And hurry. Watch her while I get the gun. Oh, that was nice work. I was going to try to take her myself.
I didn't mean to do it. I was just trying to get the gun, but she tripped, fell. Oh, Dr. Strange.
Yes?
Why is she lying there so funny? Her head.
Wait a minute, let me see. Oh, her neck's broken. She's dead.
Oh, no. That means I killed her.
Not any more than it means I killed Felix. Well, Miss Hines, I think you must believe me now. I ask you for the last time, do you know what's behind all this?
I told you I don't. Mr. Rayfield was always wonderful to me, and Oh, look. There, lying next to her. Must have fallen out of her bag. Isn't that another chess piece?
Yes, the Black Queen.
He gave me one, just like it when I first came to work for him. Only it was a white one.
What?
Yes, a white one.
Black Queen, White Knight, and... No, it's impossible. And still...
What is it?
It's too incredible. But I've just gotten an idea. A mad, fantastic idea that... Come on, we're going to the police.
Go ahead, Dr. Strand.
Mr. Rayfield.
By all means. But remember, it's my move now.
Rayfield's move. With 3 pieces removed from the board already, 3 corpses, and the hands of the clock still moving toward the witching hour, and more.
Murder at midnight.
And now, back to Murder at Midnight and Death Across the Board. It's about a half hour later, and sitting in the office of Police Chief Adams, Dr. Strand has just finished his account of everything that has happened. There is silence for a minute. And then, without looking at either Strand or Alice, Adams says,
So,
You each bumped someone off, eh? And you've come here to give yourselves up.
No.
No, we certainly didn't come here to give ourselves up. I told you that in both cases it was self-defense. We're here because there's a madman loose, a homicidal maniac, and you've got to do something about him.
A guy that just goes around bumping people off for fun, eh? Or rather gets other people to do his killing for him.
Oh, no, there's much more to it than that. Much more.
Yeah? What?
Well, it just came to me a little while ago.
Well, that's nice.
There was something strangely familiar about this Raphael. Did you ever hear of Raphael Norbert?
No.
He was one of the greatest chess players in the world. Won practically every tournament in the books. And then about 5 years ago, he disappeared. Well, I believe he's playing another chess game now, the maddest game that ever was. Is there a map of the city around here?
Yeah, right there on the wall.
Now, let me see. Now, here's Raphael's shop. Yes, this would be it. This section of the city here, 8 blocks each way, this is his chessboard. And human beings, people like Alice and me, are his chessmen.
What?
John!
I know it sounds fantastic, but I think it's true.
Oh.
Now, when he sent me to Felix's, he told me to go down 2 blocks and 1 to the right. That's a knight's move. In other words, he had cast me as one of the white knights in his insane, murderous game.
Oh.
Alice was the white queen, he himself was the black king, and so on.
He just lined up all these people, said, you play this piece, you play that.
Oh, no. That was the beauty of the game, the fascinating, exciting part to him. No one knew that they were playing in it but he. Felix didn't know that he was a black rook any more than I knew I was a white knight. But Raphael's black pieces were all criminals of some sort who wouldn't hesitate to kill. And it was by killing that one piece took another. You see, that was the ultimate refinement of the game. He could plan a move, but he had no way of telling which piece would take which.
What do you mean?
Now, for instance, I killed Felix instead of his killing me. In other words, Raphael was not only playing his game against law and order, against society, but he was matching his brain against that of every other piece in the game.
Against law and order, eh? I got this in the mail a couple of weeks ago without any letter or anything like that. How would this fit in with your theory?
The White King. Of course. That means he's playing this game principally against you.
Now, do you believe us, Mr. Adams? Do you?
I don't know. Well, I suppose it's possible. We've been having a funny kind of crime wave lately. Killings without any apparent motive and... Excuse me. Hello?
Hello, Chief. Valenti speaking.
Yes, Valenti.
I'm down the corner of 3rd and Sycamore, and there's something kind of screwy going on. I was...
Hello? Hello? Valenti! What's the matter? One of our detectives down at 3rd and Sycamore, and it sounded like somebody got him. Now make sure about this before you answer, but would this be part of what you were talking about?
Well, let's look at the map again. 3rd and Sycamore. That would be in the area. That's Raphael's chessboard. Yes, I think it is.
Okay, come on. We're going down there and see.
There he is, lying next to the call box.
Yeah. He's dead. Stabbed.
John.
Yes?
Mr. Adams. Look there, lying next to him. Another chess piece.
Yeah.
Yes, a pawn. A white pawn. Well, of course. If you're the White King, then all your men would be pawns.
Pawns, huh? They're the pieces that get pushed around, aren't they?
Well, they're the ones that are usually sacrificed.
2 of my men, Riley and Valenti. Okay, Strand, if this Raphael wants to play, I'll play with him.
Then you do believe it?
Yes. You're a chess player, Strand. Do you think you can figure out what this Raphael character is going to do next and tell me how I can meet him?
I might. I only got a very quick look at the board, but if I could remember the location of the pieces...
You mean he's actually got a board set up showing where all the pieces, everybody is?
There's one set up on a little table right next to his desk. No one's allowed to touch it.
That's the one. I think I remember the position of the pieces that were left, but some moves may have been made since I saw it.
Well, what are we fooling around here for? Let's go to the shop and make sure.
That's the store right there.
Well, it's all dark. Doesn't look as if anyone's there.
Locked, all right. You have a key, haven't you, Alice?
No. Raphael never gave me one. He always locked up himself.
Well, what do we do?
2 of my men killed, and you ask me a question like that? You think I'm going to play legal and wait for a search warrant? Look out. Okay. Now, where's the light?
Right here. There's the chessboard over there.
Yes, I know. Let's take a look at it. This all there is to the place?
Except for the cellar. She must still be down there. The woman in black...
We'll go down there later. Well, Strand?
Well, at the moment, Black seems to have the edge on us. Several moves have been made, and we've lost several pieces, but we've still got a fair chance.
Oh, the devil was winning that game. Where's this Raphael guy, the Black King, and what's he going to do next?
Well, now, wait a minute. Just give me another minute or two, will you? The Black King is still in his own square, which would seem to mean that he's still here someplace. But the thing is, I'm not sure whose move it is now.
You're right, Dr. Strand. I am still here, and it's my move.
What the thunder? There's Raphael speaking over some kind of a loudspeaker system, maybe from the cellar.
All right, I'm going to see. I'll find out.
Oh, John!
Oh, Alice. Alice, where are you?
Here. Right here.
Are you all right?
I think so. What was it? What happened?
Well, he must have had the place mined or set a booby trap. And when Adams went to open the cellar door, Where is Adams?
I'm not sure, but I think he's over there.
I must have some matches someplace. Yes, here. Oh, under that beam there.
Oh.
Help me lift it off.
All right. Oh.
Okay. Adams.
Is he?
No, but he's badly hurt and losing blood. We've got to get him to a hospital fast. Now watch it. This way. The emergency ward is right in there.
How do you know?
Well, I ought to. I interned here. It's funny there's no one around. Now, put him right there on the table.
All right.
Easy. That's it. Hello. This is Dr. Strand speaking from the emergency ward. I have a very severe accident case here. Is there anyone around who can take care of him? What about surgery? Crandall? Oh, fine. Will you ask him to get down here as soon as possible? Thanks. The chap I used to know has just finished an operation. He'll be down right away.
Will there still be time?
Yes, I think so. We'll have to give him a transfusion once we get him patched up. Now, I'd better rustle up a sterile uniform for myself in case Crandall needs a hand. If I remember, they used to keep them in here.
Isn't there anything I can do?
Just keep an eye on him. The tourniquets particularly. It'd be just too bad if he lost any more blood.
Right. He's still unconscious, but I think...
That you, Crandall? I'm awfully glad you're here. Pretty serious case. Adams, chief of police. An explosion.
Oh?
There's no time to go into the whole story now. But if we don't work fast, we may lose him. I only had a chance to make... What are you doing?
Removing the tourniquets?
No, wait. I'm not ready with the ligatures yet. You're not Crandall. You're Raphael.
What?
Right, Dr. Strand. Raphael Norbert. Dr. Crandall is still in surgery. Locked in, as a matter of fact. I put on this mask and gown not because I thought it would fool you, but because, well, somehow it just seemed appropriate.
But it can't be you. You were in the shop.
No, Dr. Strand. If you're thinking of my voice, as you guessed, it was coming over a loudspeaker system from next door. And if you're thinking of my position on the chessboard, you forget that I had not made my move yet, huh? You probably expected a Brodsky endgame. That would have been the classical move. But I played a variation of it. You cast right.
What?
I know you do not play chess, my dear Miss Hines. Castling is a move in which the king changes places with one of the castles or rooks. It was a move which brought me here to the hospital, waiting for you.
Mr. Raphael, I don't know why you've done everything you have, and I don't care, but you've got to let us do something about Mr. Adams. All that blood he's losing.
Yes, Raphael, for heaven's sake.
Do not move, either of you. I do not want to have to shoot, but I sincerely hope it will not be necessary. After all, when the chief dies, the game will be over. And the most interesting game it has been.
But haven't there been enough deaths already.
You are very sentimental, my dear. I'm afraid you would never make a good chess player. Pieces have been taken, that's all.
But suppose we just give up. Say you've won.
That's right, Raphael. We'll concede you the game, but let me do something about Adams. There's still time. I've got everything ready here, all the instruments.
No, Dr. Strand. This is one game I will not concede. That I insist on having played out to the last move.
Well, if that's the way you want it, all right. And if I'm not mistaken, it's my move now. And here. The formaldehyde won't help him any. Get his gun, Alice?
Yes.
Watch him while I get these tourniquets back on Adams.
Do you think you can still save
Yes, his pulse is weak, but I think we can still save him. As for you, Raphael, you made one bad mistake. You forgot that 3 of us came to your shop. The White King, White Queen, and White Knight. That would put you in check. And you can't castle when you're in check.
I bow, Dr. Strand. I felicitate and congratulate you. But if I am to lose, I prefer to lose in my own way.
Look out, Alice! Watch it!
He went through the window. Shall I call the police? Get them to go after him?
No. There's a railroad underpass right outside. A drop of about 60 feet. I think that's game, match, and tournament.
One last move, and the game is over. Over as we like to have all our stories end, with a final...
Murder at midnight.
Remember to be with us again when death moves his black chessmen and the clocks strike 12 for...
Murder at midnight.
The part of Dr. John Strand was played by Eric Dressler. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M.
This I believe. Norman Katkoff is a writer. As a boy in St. Paul, Minnesota, he always wanted to be in the newspaper business. He worked on the St. Paul Pioneer Press and the New York World Telegram. He managed at the same time to write fiction, contributing short stories to many leading magazines. In 1948, this young man came out with his first novel, Eagle at My Eyes. Now, with his third book, he has branched off into another field of writing, in his biography of the late Fanny Bryce, called The Fabulous Fanny. Here is the creed of Norman Katkoff.
I believe in good, in the noun itself, and all that good implies. I believe in it as opposed to evil. Good and evil exist collaterally in every man. Life begins as a struggle between these two forces, and that struggle continues until life on earth ends. I believe each man must come to understand, in his own way and in his own fashion, that the struggle abides relentlessly, and that each man, alone, must choose between good and evil. The scheme of life is the struggle between these two forces, and I believe that good must triumph. To me, good is the strongest single motivating force in society, in civilization, I believe that I cannot endure unless I do, daily, what is good. Quite apart from any question of religious faith, geographic loyalty, political belief, and scientific persuasion, the absolute need for good is incontrovertible and all-embracing. That need is not a test of man on earth, but in a way, the only way of life on earth. Mankind has, since it became vertebrate, moved slowly, very, very slowly, toward that world in which good will at last triumph completely. And I believe that tyranny and torture, riot and retribution, war's waste and war's wantonness, all the black pages of man's history are only isolated, unwelcome bivouacs on his inexorable march to a civilization that is good. I think that good as opposed to evil is the more difficult condition to obtain. And I'm speaking now of the arbitrary and absolute good. I believe that good must be arrived at through the will, through the discipline that rejects evil as incompatible with conscience. I believe in conscience as the great and noble ally in the struggle against evil, and I am as certain of my conscience as I am of the sun and the stars and the blooming of trees and the southward flight of birds. I believe in conscience more than I believe in myself. I can and do doubt myself, hourly and daily, but my conscience is my bellwether. Conscience follows childhood as the summer follows spring, and I believe that the day finds each of us when we are forced to measure evil against conscience. The day may come in the classroom, for the student who must choose between honest failure and dishonest promotion, via the stolen glance, the crib sheet, the open book, between good and evil. The day may come in the home's dinner table, for the son to choose between offering the truth for his neglect of a chore or the lie to camouflage his dereliction, between good and evil. The day may come in his first employer's shop when circumstance finds him alone, and the cash drawer beckons like the answer to all poverty, and the choice is clear, good or evil. I believe that each man can deaden conscience with the false entry, the spoken lie, the unpaid debt, the dishonored signature. But I believe that more men will not than will. For I believe that we are, alone in the animal kingdom, blessed with a desire for good that will, whatever the snares and traps and pitfalls of evil, in the end reject it and turn, in a universal affirmation, to good for all time.
That was the writer Norman Katkoff, who lives with his bride in St. Paul, but whose author's curiosity roams in many places.
New wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated seismotite, invites you to stand by for Nick Carter, Master Detective. Today's Nick Carter adventure starring Lon Clark, The Case of the Vanishing Weapon.
I, Dorothy, take thee, Wayne, to my lawful wedded husband, to love, honor, and cherish.
Wayne, darling, please, let's move back from the edge. High places always frighten me, and Wayne, no! Don't, Wayne! No!
I, Emily, take thee, Wayne, to my lawful wedded husband, to love, honor, and... Don't keep swimming away from me, Wayne. Help me. You know I can't swim. Please.
Now, Nick Carter and The Case of the Vanishing Weapon, brought to you by new wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. It's 4:20 in the afternoon of an extremely warm day. Driving back to the city, Nick and Patsy meet a car rushing toward them at top speed on the left side of the road. Get over, you idiot!
Nick, it's a woman. She's going to hit us. Oh, Nick, she ran right into us.
Couldn't get out of her way because of that fence. But at least we avoided a head-on collision. She only struck the back end of the car.
I wonder if she's hurt.
Come on, let's see.
Yeah. Nick, she caromed off your car right smack into that tree.
She must have been ill. I saw her just before we crashed. Slumped over the wheel.
There she is. Oh, Nick, she was thrown to the windshield.
Yeah. She's in pretty bad shape. Seems to be conscious, though.
I can't die.
Can you hear me?
I can't. You're not going to die. You're going to be all right.
He'll marry again. He'll kill his next wife, too.
What did you say?
For the insurance. I know. I found out too late. I can't die. If I do, he'll do it again. He'll marry again.
Please, don't think about it now.
She's dead.
Oh. Nick, she wasn't delirious. She knew what she was saying. Do you think her husband really killed her?
I don't know, Patsy. But I'm going to make it my business to find out.
In just a moment, we'll return to The Case of the Vanishing Weapon, today's adventure with Nick Carter. Yours, a thrilling new cleaning discovery. Yes, to give you faster, easier cleaning than any other cleanser, we've activated Seismotite in Old Dutch Cleanser. When there's a sink to clean, a touch of Old Dutch Cleanser works dazzling magic. Just see new sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser go to work. It dissolves grease on contact. Quickly, easily, its sudsing action sweeps away dirt and stains. Snowy white Old Dutch Cleanser cleans fast, safe, sure. Leaves no gritty sediment. Rinses away completely. Doesn't clog drains. Get 2 cans of Old Dutch Cleanser. 1 for the kitchen, 1 for the bathroom. Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated Seismotite. Now, back to The Case of the Vanishing Weapon, today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new, wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. It is a short time later. Nick and Patsy are talking with the chief of police of Elm City, the town the dead woman lived in.
Well, that's the story, Chief. I've given you her exact words.
Oh, I've known Kay Bolton since she was a little girl.
Well, do you know her husband, too?
Sure. He came here from out west someplace, I understand.
They've been married long?
Well, about a year, I guess.
I see.
Kay was a widow with a good farm, a little money in the bank. I guess Bolton knowed a good thing when he seen it, and he just swept her right off her feet.
What did her family think about it?
She don't have no family except a brother, and he was away at the time. You see, he builds bridges.
I see. Hey, Chief, did you notice that the windows in Mrs. Bolton's car were all shut up tight? On a day like this, it must have been sweltering in there.
Yeah, it would be. Well, Kay had hay fever kind of bad. I heard her say many times she'd rather roast than sneeze her head off from the pollen in the air.
Yes, but that's no reason to have the heater on.
The heater?
Yeah. When I examined the wreck, I noticed that the heater was on full blast.
Nick, you said she was slumped over the wheel as though she were unconscious just before the collision.
Yeah?
Maybe she passed out from the heat.
Well, now, that don't make sense, Miss Bowen. If it was that bad, seems like even Kay'd stop and cool off. Hay fever, no.
I'd think she would. But suppose she were unconscious from carbon monoxide fumes or something.
Huh? You mean Bolton might have done something to the exhaust pipe so them fumes go inside?
Maybe.
But she wasn't unconscious when you got to her.
No. But the shock of the wreck could have snapped her out of it.
Well...
Look, Chief, suppose we don't say anything about our suspicions until after we talk to her husband.
Yeah. Here, and let him think he's put it over on us, huh? And I'll have the autopsy performed as soon as we get back to town.
Yeah, but you'll need the husband's permission, won't you? And he'll never give it if he's guilty.
You've got something there, Miss Bowen.
Well, nevertheless, let's try it anyway. Maybe we can learn something from his reaction when we suggest that autopsy.
An autopsy, nothing doing. Kay suffered enough already.
Just a minute, Bolton. Kay was my sister as well as your wife. And if the chief thinks an autopsy would serve any useful purpose, I'm in favor of it.
But what useful purpose?
An autopsy would show whether there was anything in her system that would make her unconscious.
What difference does it make? She's dead. Autopsy won't bring her back.
Did she have any insurance, Mr. Bolton?
Yes, we had a joint policy for $20,000 payable to the survivor.
And this farm, who gets that?
Well, I don't know. We never discussed it.
Well, you get it, Bolton. Huh? Kay wrote me she'd made a new will after she married you, leaving you everything.
I didn't know. Well, there won't be any autopsy, and that's final.
As Kay's brother, I have something to say about that. And if there's any suspicion that her death wasn't accidental...
You have any reason to think that, Mr. McEwen?
Well, why else would you want an autopsy? And why would you want to know who benefits by her death? If there's any doubt, I want it cleared up. And you should, too, Bolton.
Well, I do, Mac, of course,
well,
but...
then just sign this paper giving your consent.
Well, very well. Give it here.
There you are.
Mr. Bolton, I don't like to butt in, but I can't find the housekeeper.
Well, she went to her room, Sam. She's all upset.
Oh. Well, Mr. Mack, that 5 gallons of ice cream Mr. Bolton got for the party tomorrow, she didn't put in the deep freeze, and it's all melted. I was wondering...
Throw it out. Do anything you want with it. Only get out of here and go back to your work.
Oh, yes, sir.
Who's that, Chief?
That's Sam Webb, the hired hand.
Hey, what you doing here, Chief? Ain't nothing wrong, is there?
Yes, Sam. It's Mrs. Bolton. She's dead.
No. Wrecked the car, did she?
What makes you think that?
Huh? Why, just the first thing that popped into my head, I guess. Besides, I thought she wasn't in no condition to drive when she come out to the barn and drove off.
What? You mean she was ill?
Oh, no, ma'am. She was mad. Blazing mad, if you ask me. Folks can't keep their mind on their driving when they're like that.
What were you doing in the barn? I thought I told you to mend that fence at the bottom of the west pasture.
Well, I finished up early, Mr. Bolton. So I thought I'd clean out the stalls and do some repairing. I was there when you come in.
Sam, did Mrs. Bolton tell you what she was angry about?
No, sir, but she was good and mad.
Oh, it wasn't anything, Mr. Carter. Bolton was late getting back with the car, and Kay had an appointment in Elm City. She was mad because she was going to be late.
I couldn't help being late. I was delayed.
Was there a quarrel, Mr. Bolton?
Of course not. Kay was always flying off the handle, but it didn't mean anything. I sent Mac out to the car for the rest of the supplies I'd brought back while I tried to talk her out of it, but I couldn't.
I see. Well, thanks for giving your consent to the autopsy, Mr. Bolton. May I answer some very important questions? Oh, good morning.
Hello, Carter. Miss Bowen.
Hello.
Oh, gosh, what a night. I was down at the blame garage till 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh, did the mechanic find anything suspicious?
Well, the car was smashed up pretty bad, but he swears the wreck didn't affect nothing that could have caused the accident.
Did he check the steering gear, the brakes?
Yeah, and the muffler, too. Nothing had been tampered with.
And the autopsy showed absolutely no trace of carbon monoxide in her lungs or blood. No other poisonous gas, for that matter.
And she wasn't drugged either.
I guess we was wrong about Bolton doing it. Maybe she did fall asleep at the wheel.
No, I doubt that, Chief. Anyone who was as upset and angry as Sam said Mrs. Bolton was just wouldn't doze off.
Are you still trying to make out it was more than an accident, are you?
Oh, we're sure it was.
Well, now, if Bolton caused that wreck without tampering with the car and without drugging her in any way, he's committed a perfect crime. A murder without a single clue.
I wouldn't say that, Chief. Every unexplained fact is a clue. And there are several in this case.
Such as what?
Well, why was Sam so sure she'd been killed in an auto wreck? Why should her dying words have been about murder for insurance? And why was she driving with the heater turned on?
Okay, if you're looking for unexplained facts, what about the ice cream?
Well, what about it?
Well, now, Bolton brought that back from town at 4 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
And when we was there at 7:30, it was all melted, according to Sam.
Oh, well, that's only natural. The housekeeper forgot to put it in a deep freeze.
Miss Bowen, we get them 5-gallon containers of ice cream for picnics and such. We get 'em early in the morning. And they're still as hard as a rock when we eat supper.
By George, that's it.
Huh?
Huh? Well, what's what?
That's what killed Mrs. Bolton. The weapon that vanished into thin air.
Vanished?
Literally and completely, without leaving a trace.
What? Then there's no way of proving it, is there?
Not unless we can get a confession. And anybody smart enough to think up a scheme like that won't be easily bluffed.
Now, look, Carter, where would you get a weapon that would vanish that way?
At your local creamery, just as Bolton did.
Oh, Nick, you're not saying that Mrs. Bolton was murdered with 5 gallons of ice cream?
No. If it wasn't for that ice cream, she'd be alive right now.
Oh, Nick.
Come on, let's drive out to the farm. Now I've got something to work on.
Why, no, Carter. I carried that container of ice cream into the house from the car without opening it.
But Bolton...
Yes, McEwen, were you going to say something?
Well, only that when I went through the kitchen to get the other things out of the car, I noticed that the seal on the container was broken.
Well, I didn't break it. Perhaps the housekeeper...
No, Mr. Bolton. I asked her. She was upstairs at the time.
Well, what's the ice cream got to do with it anyway, Mr. Carter?
Plenty, McEwen. Those 5-gallon containers are in 2 sections. One for the ice cream itself, and one that holds dry ice to keep it from melting.
Well, so what?
Did you ever notice how drowsy you get in the crowded room where the air's stale?
Well, sure. That's because the oxygen in the air has been used up.
And replaced with carbon dioxide, which people have exhaled. That's what happens when we breathe.
Well, come to the point, Carter.
All right, I will. When I examined your car just after the wreck, Mr. Bolton, I found a few small pieces of dry ice in the heater. Dry ice is nothing but carbon dioxide in a solid form. In the heater of your wife's car, it melted. Fast. and flooded the car with carbon dioxide.
And with all the windows closed, it must have been 10 times as bad as the most crowded, stuffy room you ever saw.
And that's why she went to sleep at the wheel.
That's fantastic. You think somebody took the dry ice out of that ice cream container and put it in the heater of the car
to make her wreck the car and kill herself? Yeah, Mr. Bolton, that's exactly what we think.
Then it must have been Mac.
Why, that's a lie.
You went through the kitchen when I left the ice cream and then went out to the car for the rest of the things. You must have opened the package and...
Are you accusing me of murdering my own sister?
It had to be you. Nobody else could have done it.
No? Well, who got her to take out that insurance policy?
Huh?
Who inherits this farm and everything else she owns?
That doesn't mean...
I don't get anything out of her death, and I don't want to. But you get
now,
plenty.
Calm down, Mac. Calm down.
She was all I had. And he killed her. He killed her.
I did not. You did it yourself. And now you're trying
All right,
to...
all right. Hold it. I know how we can find out who put that dry ice in the heater.
How?
Ask Sam, your hired man.
Sam?
What would he know about it?
He was in the barn from the time you drove in with the ice cream, Mr. Bolton, until your wife left about 10 minutes later. Dry ice melts fast, very fast. To be effective, it'd have to be put in sometime during that 10 minutes.
Sure. You're right, Mr. Carter. Sam must have seen him putting that stuff in the heater. That's why he figured Kay was killed in a wreck.
Yeah, maybe he didn't think nothing of it at the time, but afterwards he realized what he saw. And then maybe he figured he could get paid for not talking.
Well, he'll talk now. He'll talk or I'll break him in two.
All right, no, McHugh. You and Bolton will stay here with the chief. Patsy and I will go talk with Sam. And after we do, Chief, I think you'll have a new boarder at the county jail.
Nick, you didn't really find any dry ice in the heater of that car, did you?
Why, of course not, Patsy. I told you I'd have to bluff.
Yeah, but if Sam did see something, it won't be a bluff any longer.
Oh, yes, it will. You may have seen something, but he couldn't tell what was actually going on inside the car from back in the stalls where he was working.
No, I guess not.
Or maybe we can use Sam's testimony to frighten the killer into giving himself away. Oh, here, this must be Sam's shack.
Uh-huh. He must be here. We know he's nowhere else on the farm.
Yeah. Let's see if the door's locked. No, it isn't. Come on in.
Right. Oh, Nick, look. They're on the floor.
Oh, that's Sam.
Nick, he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah. Shot through the head. Probably sometime last night. Look around the floor. See if you can find an empty cartridge.
Right.
If he was killed with an automatic, there's a chance the empty shell's on the floor somewhere.
Well, if it is, I'll find it.
Here. Here's something.
What is it?
Somebody knelt down beside the body. There's a perfect knee print and a smear of blood. You can even see the weave of the material the trousers were made of. Some sort of coarse tweed.
Nick, I found it.
The cartridge shell?
Yes, it was under the table. Here.
Huh. Now we can really get down to business.
Yes, this time we've got a weapon that can't vanish into thin air.
An empty cartridge case, the first bit of concrete evidence the wife killer has left in a series of 5 murders. But Nick still faces the problem of proving his guilt. We'll see what happens in just a moment. An important announcement. Coming next week on Nick Carter, Old Dutch Cleanser's big new contest. Listen so you can get an early start in this easy, fascinating contest that pays off with loads of valuable prizes. And remember, we've activated Seismotite in Old Dutch Cleanser. Its amazing sudsing action sweeps away dirt and stains, cuts grease on contact, cleans fast, safe, sure, leaves no gritty sediment, rinses away completely, saves you time and work, helps you keep your house at its shining best. New sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser is at your grocer's now in the same familiar package. Get 2 cans tomorrow. 1 for the kitchen, 1 for the bathroom. Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated Seismotite. Now, back to The Case of the Vanishing Weapon. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. At the farmhouse, Nick and the chief are trying to find the automatic with which Sam Webb, the Bolton's hired hand, was killed. Mac has admitted owning such a gun, and they've gone to his room to get it.
There you are, Mr. Carter. But I swear I haven't touched that gun since I came back 2 weeks ago.
Did Bolton know where you kept it, Mac?
Well, I don't know, Chief, but it wouldn't have been hard to find.
I didn't even know he had a gun.
Well, this is a 38. Sam was killed with a 32.
A 32? Then Bolton must have used Kay's gun.
What are you talking about? Kay didn't own a gun.
Why, you're a liar. She had a .32 automatic for years, kept at her bedside table, and you know it.
That's not true. You can come and look for yourself, Chief. Our room is right across the hall. But you won't find any gun there.
No, don't expect to, not now.
Oh, here's your gun, McEwen.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Carter. But Kay did have a gun. Charlie must have seen it hundreds of times.
Don't worry. We'll get at the truth.
There, look for yourself. Do you see a gun in that drawer? Kay wouldn't have a gun in the house.
All right, let's forget about that for a minute. Who owns the tweed suit?
A tweed suit, Mr. Carter? Why?
We found evidence proving that Sam's killer was wearing a suit of coarse tweed at the time of the murder. You have one?
Why, no.
Neither do I.
Well, you shouldn't have said that, Bolton. I've seen you wearing a tweed suit 100 times.
Well, I did have a tweed suit, but Kay gave it away last week. It was worn out.
Who'd she give it to?
I don't know. She didn't say.
Why, Bolton, I saw that suit hanging in your closet only yesterday. I'll bet it's there right now. What? What's gone?
Naturally.
Of course it is. Any fool would know enough to get rid of a piece of evidence like that.
I tell you, I haven't had it for over a week.
Wait a minute. You went down in the cellar carrying a bundle this morning, Bolton.
That was the garbage.
Mrs. Lawrence always puts the garbage in a paper bag. The bundle you had was wrapped in newspaper.
It was not. It was a paper bag.
And then I heard the furnace door.
I always burn the garbage in the furnace. You know that.
Bolton, suppose we take a look in that furnace and see what else you was burning.
Here's another scrap of tweed that didn't burn.
That's part of your suit, ain't it, Bolton?
Yes, but I didn't put it there. Mac did it. He's framing me.
Oh, sure.
He is, I tell you. Everything you found could have been done by him, couldn't it? He could have put that dry ice in the car heater as well as me. He could have shot Sam and put that suit in the furnace.
And wore the suit to kill Sam, too, I guess. Why, you blame fool. Anybody can see that Mac couldn't get into your clothes to shoehorn. He's twice as big as you are.
And I never owned a tweed suit in my life.
Anyway, the knee print by Sam's body had exactly the same weave as this tweed that was burned in the furnace.
Now, wait a minute.
Did you find something else, Nick?
I'll say I did, down among the ashes. Look.
That's it. That's Kay's gun.
I never saw that gun before in all my life.
Any fingerprints on it, Carter?
Afraid not, Chief. The whole outside is burned clean.
Yes, but a ballistics test will show if it's the gun that Sam was killed with. Won't it, Nick?
Without a doubt.
Even if it's the same gun, that doesn't prove anything.
Well, here's something that does, Bolton. A perfect set of fingerprints.
Prints? Well, I thought you said the gun was burned clean.
The outside was, yes. But there's a fine set here on the cartridge clip. I thought they might have been overlooked.
That's smart thinking, Carter.
Well, how come the cartridges didn't explode in the fire, Nick?
The clip's empty, Patsy.
Oh.
But the prints are nice and clear.
They're not my prints. I never saw that gun.
Yeah? Well, now, I'll just take that clip over to the county seat and let the fingerprint man there have a look at him.
Oh, if you don't mind, Chief, I'd rather take this to the fingerprint lab in the city.
Huh? What's the matter with Joe Parker over at the county seat?
Well, he may be perfectly all right, but... Well, look, let me have my own way, will you, please? I'll stay at the hotel in Elm City tonight, drive into the city tomorrow, and have a report you can depend on before tomorrow evening.
Well, okay, keep the blame clip. And you, Bolton, come on. I'm locking you up where you can't get out to commit no more murders.
Who's there? Who's in the room? Who is it?
Don't move, Mr. Carter. You're a fine target under that bed lamp.
McEwen. What are you doing here?
I came to get something that belongs to me. That clip with the fingerprints on it.
What? And those are your prints. Bolton was telling the truth. You killed Sam.
Sure I did. I couldn't let him tell about seeing me put that dry ice in the heater of Kay's car, could I? And he said he had been in the barn at the time. I had to get rid of him.
And all the evidence against Bolton. You planted it yourself.
Why not? Somebody had to be the patsy. And I could see you suspected him already. Nobody knew I had that .32. So I said it belonged to Kay. And who can prove that it didn't?
And you planted it in the furnace for us to find, together with a tweed suit.
Sure. That suit was the smartest part of the whole frame-up. Kay gave it to Sam. It was hanging right there in front of me when I shot him.
But you couldn't have worn it. It was too small for you.
No, but I could wrap it around my knee and then make a print in that blood stain, couldn't I? Didn't tell you I saw Bolton trying to burn it.
You thought of everything, didn't you?
Everything but that cartridge clip with my fingerprints on it. Where is it, Carter? Or do I put a bullet in your head?
All right, you win. It's in the left-hand top dresser drawer, wrapped in a handkerchief.
Yeah? Thanks for making it easy. First, we'll wipe these prints out. And then, Mr. Carter, I'm afraid I'll have to get rid of you.
And now, hold on, McEwen. You've destroyed the proof against you when I let her go at that.
I can't let you talk about this little visit.
Look, McEwen, don't
Shut
do
up. I said I was going to get rid of you, and I am. So...
As Mac points his gun at Nick's head and pulls the trigger, he stands only a few feet away, too close to miss. We'll see what happens in just a moment. Here's a wash day tip. Keep your washer sparkling clean inside and out with wonderful new Sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser. Yes, a touch of Old Dutch Cleanser cuts grease on contact, sweeps away dirt and stains almost like magic. You'll be amazed at the new sudsing action of Old Dutch Cleanser. Snowy white, leaves no gritty sediment, rinses away completely. It's been granted the Good Housekeeping seal. Yes, ladies, for faster, easier cleaning than you've dreamed possible, switch to new sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated seismotite. And next week, Old Dutch Cleanser's wonderful new contest starts. Easy to enter, easy to win. It's loads of fun with loads of valuable prizes. Hear all about this sensational new contest and how you may win next week on Nick Carter. Now for the conclusion of The Case of the Vanishing Weapon. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. In Nick's hotel room, he faces a killer with a gun who says,
I said I was going to get rid of you, and I am. So... You had a gun all the time, under the bedclothes.
Sorry, Mac. I tried to warn you.
Nick, are you all right?
I'm okay, Patsy. But our friend here has a bullet in his arm. Come on in.
If you're all down a shorthand, Nick, the microphone picks up every word he said.
This was a trap?
You bet it was. See, I expected you to come for that cartridge clip.
If my gun hadn't jammed...
It didn't jam. I took all the bullets out of it when I examined it out at the farmhouse today. But I couldn't be sure you hadn't discovered that and reloaded it, so I had to shoot first.
What's the matter there? Who fired that gun? What's going on?
Everything's under control. Call the chief of police, will you?
Sure, Mr. Carter, sure. I'll get him here in 2 shakes.
Where's your proof, Carter? My fingerprints aren't on the cartridge clip anymore.
Your confession before 2 witnesses is proof enough, McEwen. And as for those fingerprints, I was bluffing you.
Why, you...
So far as I know, there weren't any prints on that clip.
Nick, how did you know Wayne McEwen killed his sister and Sam Webb?
Well, I was pretty sure of it from the moment we found out how McEwen's sister was killed.
Done that?
Mm-hmm. Furthermore, every bit of evidence we had against Bolton came directly from McEwen.
Chief, did you find out why he killed his sister?
Yeah, he told us all about it at the jailhouse. Seems his bridge building business ain't been so good these last few years, so McEwen drummed up a sideline of getting married and then killing off his wives for their insurance.
Oh, then he was the one Mrs. Bolton was talking about just before she died.
Right, Patsy.
Yeah, but how'd she ever find out about this?
McEwen says she was cleaning up his room the day before she was killed, and she came across some of his private papers that he'd forgotten to put away.
Uh-huh.
She didn't know he'd been married at all, so when she found a marriage certificate, she got curious.
Oh.
And what she found in the rest of the stuff gave her a pretty good idea of what'd been going on.
Then that night she accused him of killing the 2 girls, and he admitted it. When he asked her what she was going to do about it, she said she hadn't made up her mind.
But if I'd been in her place, I'd have turned him over to the police.
Oh, she wanted to, Miss Bowen, but he was her only brother, and she couldn't quite make up her mind to do it.
But Mac didn't dare to take any chances, so he killed her.
Yeah, he was pretty clever about it, too. He almost got away with it.
Yeah, but when he killed Sam, he outsmarted himself.
Well, you know the old saying, Nick. Give a killer enough rope and he'll hang himself.
So he will, Patsy. So he will. Every time.
Well, Nick, that's the last of them.
Okay, Patsy, that's all for now. You better go home and change. Remember, we're meeting Bill and his wife at 7:30 for dinner.
Well, how about after dinner? I want to know how to dress.
Well, Bill said something about taking in an amusement park and ending up with a boat ride on the river in the moonlight.
Oh, hold on. Take it easy, Carter.
Hey, for heaven's sake, Patsy.
Amusement park, boat rides, redheads, penicillin.
Okay, I get it.
I don't want to end up at the bottom of the river just because the ticket seller was a beautiful redhead who posed as a
Hey,
model.
hold on, Patsy. Let's tell about that adventure next week. We'll call it The Case of the Purloined Penicillin.
Ladies, have you discovered Delrich margarine? Delicious, rich Delrich makes friends at first taste. Full-flavored, it's the perfect spread for bread, rolls, toast. Try Delrich in your cooking and baking, too. Mighty good, mighty economical. Only Delrich gives you the original easy color pack, the easy, modern way to color margarine. And, where state laws permit, ask for Delrich in gold and yellow quarters. Delrich, America's new favorite. Del for delicious, rich for rich, full flavor. Get Delrich margarine tomorrow, for Delrich makes friends at first taste. Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this same time by the Cudahy Packing Company. It is produced and directed by Jock McGregor and is copyrighted by Street & Smith Publications, Incorporated. Lon Clark is starred as Nick, and Charlotte Manson is featured as Patsy. Today's script was written by Jim Parsons, with original music played by Henry Silbern. This program is fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. This is Michael Fitzmaurice saying, when minutes count, use new, wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Norris E. Dodd is director of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Himself a rancher, with 2,000 acres of irrigated land in Oregon, Mr. Dodd was this country's Undersecretary of Agriculture before assuming his present position. This is Norris Dodd's creed.
My father was ill the few years that I knew him. He died when I was very young. He sat on the porch with me on the days when his health and the weather would permit and gave me a bit of his philosophy, which greatly influenced my life. One of the stories that had perhaps the most influence on me was this. One of the wealthy men in town was walking by our house, and probably because we were so poor, I made the remark that it must be nice to be rich. Father said, that man is not rich, has lots of money, but he's very poor because he has no friends. I know he's a very unhappy individual. Without friends, you can't do things. You don't accomplish anything. My grandmother also had a good deal of influence on me, I'm sure. She stressed one thing above everything else, living with people. All my life, she said, I would be living with people. I could choose any road I liked, but she thought I would be happier if I chose to help people, help them to do things for themselves, rather than just thinking of doing things for myself. I arrived in the West more than 50 years ago to find that many of the things that we had in the central part of the United States were not available there. They didn't have schools, drugstores, doctors, dentists, and so on. I had an opportunity to look over small towns that didn't have these things. People told me that they would like to have a drugstore, a doctor, and a dentist. So in the towns where I first settled, I built a drugstore. I went to the college and got a young doctor just out of school, married and as poor as anyone could be. And I got a dentist from his college. We started to build a community and had a lot of fun doing it. I made a lot of friends, and they were sorry when Doc and I left. I went to Baker, Oregon, and went through the same experience. I suppose at that time I thought I was doing this because I wanted to make money. But there was more to it, the satisfaction of seeing something started and finished that was a benefit to the community. I went to Wallowa, 100 miles from a railroad, where it took 3 days or more to get someone who was sick to medical services. And I did the same thing. I came back to Haines in 1904. Haines didn't have a telephone line, no doctors, no dentists, no picture show, no dance halls. So we provided those things. I know I couldn't have done this, except that I liked people. I liked to make friends, and had to make friends to do these things. I was poor, had little money. I just had faith in people. After the First World War, farm people found themselves in a terrible position. Prices were going down, and so was their standard of living. I spent the next 20 years helping to build the United States farm programs, trying to get other people to raise the standard of living for those people who provide the food and the fiber for America and large parts of the rest of the free world. I had to have friends to get this done. The richest experience in my life have been the friendships that I have built up with a great number of people. I don't think you can buy that kind of satisfaction with money. This brings me back to what my father said about the man who was not rich, because, though he had a lot of money, he had no friends. Being friendly with folks and trying to help them, this, I believe, is the best thing in life and the only way to get things done.
That was Norris E. Dodd, an Oregon rancher, who heads the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations.
NBC presents, transcribed, Frank Lovejoy in Night Thief.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. If you've ever come to doubt the power of the people to change something they don't like, if you've ever said to yourself, things aren't going so well, but there's nothing I can do about it, then let me tell you the story of a farming man from Hudson, Illinois, who blew into town one evening, mobilized a force of Chicago citizenry, and fought the king of corruption as no one else has ever done, under the banner of love. I was people browsing in the Illinois Central Depot at the tip of Roosevelt Road one evening. I checked the Traveler's Aid Bureau for a possible story lead, but nothing had presented itself. I was about to say goodbye when a loose-jointed, long-faced traveler ambled in, closed the door softly, and gently placed his cardboard suitcase on the floor and looked over the counter at Miss Holstead. She asked him if she could help him. He looked at her a moment, scratched his stubble chin pensively, smacked his lips, and began.
Well, I was kind of wondering.
Yes?
Where's the hotel?
There's a number of them, sir. May I give you a list of them?
How much is it?
No charge. Here you are.
Say, that's mighty kind. Lots of them. I ain't got too much cash on me.
Well, we can't recommend any one hotel in particular.
Miss Holstead, maybe
this is Mr. Stone. He's with the Chicago Star. Perhaps he can help you. Just call if you want me, sir.
Oh, it ain't too important, Mr. Stone. I can stay any place. I stay a lot of places I wouldn't bed down a hall.
Would you prefer someplace in the Loop?
What's the Loop?
Downtown, the Civic Center.
My name's Benjamin Joseph Tusher. I'm from Hudson, Illinois. I'm not very versified, and now this here place is laid out. I come here only for a couple of days. My wife didn't come with me.
Business?
Yeah, kinda, might say.
You mind if I ask what sort of business? I'm a newspaper reporter. I sometimes ask personal questions. I hope you don't resent
Reformer.
I beg your pardon?
Reformer.
Oh.
I heard about the crime you people got up here. I'm a reformer by trade. I thought I'd try to clean things up.
Crime?
Crime, yeah. Counterfeit, larceny. I'm a specialist in all of them.
Single-handed?
My uncle was Ned Kensing.
Uh-huh.
You heard of him?
Well, the name's familiar.
Cleaned up the West. Sheriff of 10 counties. Taught me everything I know. Loop?
Yeah.
That ought to be all right. Let's get a room in the Loop.
Benjamin Joseph Tusher, reformer by trade from Hudson, Illinois, took a room in a small, inexpensive hotel on Van Buren Street. He tested the bed, he opened the window, and the dirt blew in. He didn't say anything for a few minutes. I didn't know it at the time, but he was listening for the elevator to go by again.
What do they call it?
Elevated.
Goes on all night like that?
I'm afraid so, but for the price you want to pay.
Same train? Every time that thing goes by, it sounds like the same train. Couldn't be the same train.
No.
Not a dirt in the air.
Well, in this section...
I better close the window, else I'll have to take another bath. Well, I guess I better go right to work.
Oh, it's 2 a.m, Ben. Why don't you get some sleep? And then tomorrow morning...
Crime goes on most at night.
That's true, but...
Corruption breeds in darkness. I gotta go right to work. Where's the main tavern and dance hall?
Well, there's the pump room of the Ambassador East.
Let's go.
You can't go in without a tie.
Got one right here. String tight. My wife made me take it.
Ben, look. Chicago needs cleaning up, all right, but it's more than a one-man job.
My uncle was Ned Kensing.
Nevertheless.
He had a formula that never failed.
What is that?
Love.
Love?
Love. Love corruption right out of this town. Just the way Uncle Ned did.
Ben, where are you going?
I'm out to find me the Mr. Crime, and when I do, I'm going to love it to death.
I finally convinced Ben to go to sleep and begin his campaign the next day. I finished my appointed rounds, wrote my story, went home and slept. Next afternoon, I went over to Ben's hotel. Ben was getting dressed, and on the bed was a pile of pamphlets.
Afternoon.
What's the pamphlets?
Take one. They're free.
Love Against Corruption.
That's the name of the party.
Join with us in our crusade to cleanse this metropolis of crime and vagrancy.
That's our platform. Copied word for word from Uncle Ned's pamphlet, 1897.
No dues, no button, no name, no pin. Just say I'm with you, we take you in.
I'm going out to Union Square. Somebody told me that would be a good place to start.
Where did you get these pamphlets printed?
Recruited up a printer in the organization, among others. It's been a lively morning. Come in.
Here are some more pamphlets, Mr. Tusher. Right off the press.
Thanks, Miss Jewell. This Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
How do you do?
Welcome to the party, Mr. Stone.
Oh, thank you.
I also called John Lahr, just as you said to do. He's a difficult man to reach.
John Lahr?
You've heard of him, of course.
Ben, what's the matter with you? You're trying to commit suicide? Fun is fun, but John Lahr...
Don't you worry, Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone's a warrior, Miss Jewell.
Oh, Lahr is the #1 boy, Ben.
I know it.
He runs organized crime in Chicago.
I know it.
Oh, Ben, don't be crazy. You'll get yourself killed. Lahr doesn't fuss around.
Mr. Stone, I learned a lot of things today. One of them is, the law ain't been able to tag Mr. Lahr with a thing. That's how clever he's been. The other is that everybody's scared to death of John Lahr, and nobody's gone after him. Our political party means to attack him with love. Right, Miss Jewell?
Attack with love. That's right, Mr. Tusher.
Sing, Miss Jewell.
Well, I'm not a very good singer.
Go on. I want Mr. Stone to hear it. Mr. Stone, this is our campaign song.
Love corruption out of town with Tusher, Tusher. Love corruption out of town the Benny Tusher way.
I wrote it myself.
Gone to work all night, gone to work all day. We'll love corruption out of town the Benny Tusher way.
That's very nice.
Well, have we got an appointment to see John Lahr, Miss Jewell?
I just couldn't, Mr. Tusher.
I see. Well, I guess we got to go without an appointment.
Oh, now, Ben, come on. Now, listen to me. Sing your song, give out your pamphlets, but please, don't kid around with John Lahr, please.
I'm the natural leader of a great and growing political party, Mr. Stone. Our battle is with Mr. Lahr. He's the boss of the other side. You with us or against us?
With us or against us, Mr. Stone?
Ben.
You for corruption?
Well, no, but...
Then you're with us.
Love corruption out of town with Tusher, Tusher. Love corruption out of town the Benny Tusher way.
Ben Tusher was a changed man. He'd been suddenly transformed from a humble farmer to the leader of his own political party, and his big guns of love were aimed at the emperor of Chicago crime. The three of us started for John Lahr's Gold Coast penthouse. I did my best to talk Ben out of his visit, but my voice was lost under the words of his fight song. We made it to the right floor without mishap, but at the entrance to the Lahr apartment, we were met by 6.5 feet of muscle in gray double-breasted.
What can I do for you?
I'm Benjamin Joseph Tusher, Hudson, Illinois.
Uh-huh.
This is Miss Ernestine Jewell.
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Randy Stone.
Uh-huh.
We'd like to see Mr. Lahr, please.
Uh-uh.
On business.
On your way.
We represent the Love Against Corruption Party. I'm campaign chairman.
Go elsewhere.
Come on, Ben. You heard the man.
Please, Mr. Stone. Here, my friend, a pamphlet.
Keep it. Now scram. No solicitors. Can't you read the signs?
Ben, I think he means it. Discretion is the better part of valor.
I think we ought to sing our way in.
Oh, no.
Wonderful idea.
Love corruption out of town, the Tusher, Tusher. Love corruption out of town, the Benny Tusher. Gone to work all night, gone to work all day. Love corruption out of town, the Benny Tusher.
What is this? Ed, what's the idea? Nuts, folks. Absolutely crazy. A bunch of idiots.
Well,
give them $1 and send them away. Here's $1. Now get out of here or I'll call the police.
Ben, come on, Ben.
Mr. Stone, please. Let go. Mr. Lahr?
Yes?
I'm Ben Tusher. This Miss Ernestine Jewell. This Mr. Randy Stone.
Fine.
This is your first warning, Mr. Lahr.
What did you say?
I am the leader of a great and growing party fighting against corruption. That means you, Mr. Lahr. I'll put it this way. Either leave town voluntarily or we'll drive you out of town with love.
Love.
Now, boss.
Must have escaped from somewhere.
Now?
No, gently, Eddie. They may mean votes.
Right.
Ben, let's go. Come on.
Out.
Oh, keep your hands off me, you bitch!
Out. Great and growing party, Mr. Lahr.
Ben, come on.
Out. Let go.
Hands off, big stuff. He's not that young anymore.
Okay. See? No hands. Now, before I beat all your heads in, blow.
Had Mr. Lahr not been a gentleman gangster, we might have been treated a mite rougher. As it was, Ben Tusher's collar was only slightly mangled and Miss Jewell wasn't touched at all. Ben was undaunted. From Mr. Lahr's apartment, we followed our leader to Union Square. Ben climbed aboard a bench, put his pamphlets beside him, and started to assail the park habitués with samples of old-fashioned oratory. He began with the best of gimmicks, the giveaway.
It's free, everything is free, it's free. Free. Come on and get it, it's free.
Miss Jewell, get out of the way, you'll get crushed in the rush.
Isn't he wonderful?
I didn't know he had it in him.
Get them before they're all gone. Limited supply, they're free.
They don't even know what he's giving away.
They don't care, it's free.
Get them now, here they are. Fine. Now, in exchange for the gift, just a second of your time. Turn the page to the inside. Describes our political party. We're against corruption. So are you. Naturally, we see eye to eye.
Guess what?
Corruption. We're going to drive it out of town.
You and who else?
Me and you.
What way? Pamphlets?
Pamphlets and love.
What we out of town?
Love corruption out of town. That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to get banners, and we're going to sing songs, and we're going to march on old John Lahr, who's been running things here too long as it is.
Hey, boy!
Yes, sir.
I'm with you, buddy.
How many others?
Go on, Mr. Stone. Give him support.
I'm strictly an observer, Miss Jewell.
I thought you worked for us.
Well, I am.
I will, then. I'm with you, mister. I'm with you.
That's fine. What we need is to sing our song and get everybody in the against corruption mood. Page 13, everybody.
Yes, page 13. Love corruption out of town. Tusher, Tusher. Love corruption out of town. Any Tusher way. Gone to work all night. Gone to work all day. With love corruption out of town. Any Tusher way. Hey!
NBC is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. The old song says, "Keep the home fires burning." And unfortunately, the home fires do keep burning. 340,000 homes are destroyed by fire in this country every year, with a loss of 11,000 lives and hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet, a simple, regular check through your home for possible causes of fire will eliminate the possibility of a costly and tragic blaze. Now, there are 5 simple rules for protecting your home against fire. 1, don't smoke in bed or discard lighted cigarettes carelessly. 2, clean out old rags, papers, and other inflammable debris. 3, repair or replace defective electric wiring or equipment promptly. 4, use non-inflammable cleaning fluids. And 5, keep matches in a safe place and out of the reach of small children. These simple rules are almost 100% protection against fire. Follow them in your home. Keep the home fires out. Don't gamble with fire. The odds are against you. And now, back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
It's difficult to explain the rapid growth of Ben Tusher's Love Against Corruption campaign. Every time Ben Tusher spoke, he evoked more laughter than friends. And yet, by the end of a month, Ben boasted a political party of 2,300, plus countless donors of a dime or more to the party coffers. Major political organizations made bids at coalition, but Ben would have none of them. Perhaps the party's growth was due to the state of corruption. Perhaps it was the people's constant desire for crusade. But my guess is a large part was due to the dynamic personality of Ben himself. He began to branch out. Love Against Corruption headquarters blossomed in all parts of the city. Ben left the Van Buren Street Hotel and moved to nicer quarters deeper in the Loop. Since Love Against Corruption was news, the Star printed story and pictures. Ben was delighted.
Just look here, Mr. Stone. Letters from all over the city just because of that newspaper article you wrote. Mr. Stone, I sure appreciate your help.
Well, I've got to be honest, Ben. I didn't write it to help. Your party is big news.
Well, be that as it was, it sure got the right results. Hey, the parade's today. Look at here at these banners.
The Love Against Corruption Party. Love corruption out, vote the party in.
Yeah. Ain't that sign a pretty shade of blue, though?
Yeah, it sure is. But I just don't get it, Ben.
What's that?
Well, the love angle. We love John Lahr.
Can't say we hate him. That's slander.
No, but still.
Can't say he's a criminal. No proof.
I guess so.
Got to publicize his name so people know him for what he is.
So you say you love him?
Everybody knows we don't mean it. That's where the love angle comes in.
It's logical.
Parade's going to be a dilly.
Oh, Lahr isn't going to like this. Why don't you just mention that you're against corruption? No need to be specific. After all, without proof.
Great growing party, Mr. Stone. Grab a sign.
No, thanks. I'll watch.
Oh, I understand, Mr. Stone. The paper.
Yeah, that's right. Now, about Lahr...
Don't you worry, Mr. Stone.
Oh, Ben, don't antagonize him. There are other ways. The law will get him eventually. Income tax, maybe. Why stick your neck out?
Mr. Stone, you don't sound much like a fighter.
Well, the odds are 1,000 to 1, Ben.
Not if you know how to use love.
Oh, Ben.
Don't, Mr. Stone. Don't sell that technique down the river.
Well, how are you going to do it?
Poor Mr. Lahr. I sure do pity him. He's never seen love work before. Hey, it's 2 o'clock. We got to march. Where's my white hat?
The parade was broken up by the police before they got a block. And the reason was simple. No permit. Ben admitted he'd overlooked one small detail, but that disappointment didn't bother him long. His party workers with their blue ribbons and white hats took their banners and spread themselves over the city until there was hardly a block that didn't have a Love Against Corruption or marching down the walk. That night, Ben, Miss Jewel, and I had dinner in Ben's room. Miss Jewel had added a verse to the old gray mare.
My pitch pipe, I put it somewhere. Now where... Oh, here we are right around my neck. Isn't that silly? Old John Lahr, he ain't what he used to be, ain't what he used to be, ain't what he used to be. Old John Lahr, he ain't what he used to be in good old Chicago.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Miss Jewel. Just great. Got the common touch. What do you think, Mr. Stone?
Expressive.
Probably the waiter. Always rush in to take away the tray. I ain't finished yet. Come on in. Listen, we ain't finished yet. Mr. Lahr.
I hope we're not disturbing your meal, Mr. Tusher.
Not at all. Come on in.
Come on in, boys.
I'm afraid we don't have too many chairs in here. Some of you'll have to sit on the bed.
You can sit on the bed, boys.
Kind of late for you to be out, isn't it, Lahr?
I keep funny hours, Mr. Stone. Mr. Tusher, I came here to talk a little sense. That parade today, those people with banners blacking my name up around town. You know the penalty for inciting to riot? You know what slander means?
It wasn't a riot and it wasn't slander. All we said was, we love you.
That's very funny.
Come on, Laura. What's your pitch?
You ought to know better than to get mixed up in this kind of phony routine, Stone. I don't think the Chicago Star would like it.
I'm a traveling correspondent with the outfit.
I'm glad you came, Mr. Lahr. It's time for the second warning.
It is, huh?
Yes, sir. Out of town in 10 days.
10 days? Well, that's very generous of you.
Because unless you are, you're going to be loved out of town.
Loved out of town?
That's right, sir. Loved out of town.
You're asking for plenty, Tusher.
Plenty of what?
They're liable to find a couple of bodies around that weren't around before.
When Laura made a threat, implied or otherwise, it usually could be taken seriously. I begged Ben to take it easy, but Laura's visit only made him angrier. The next night, Ben gathered his forces before him in a rented auditorium and gave them the pitch.
Quiet, please. Last night, John Lahr threatened me with my life. Now, I would like to remind you of a law. That law states that every citizen can make an arrest. This is going to be our answer to his threat. We're going to watch Mr. Lahr night and day. We're going to become students of every law, city, state, or federal that applies to Chicago. We're going to arrest Mr. Lahr every time he breaks one of them. And with our phone calls and telegrams and love letters, we're going to tie up his lines of communications just like they do to the enemies in wartime. For your specific duties, see your precinct captains. They'll tell you your hours and what your work is going to be. Now, just remember... Ladies and gentlemen,
The shot had come from somewhere in the crowd. Ben slumped forward over the podium. I rushed over and put him on the floor. The place became bedlam. Police rushed in and herded the audience out into the street. When the ambulance came, the doctor said the bullet was lodged in Ben's right shoulder. That was a lucky break for Ben. In a couple of days, I went to see him at the hospital. He was pale, but the old spirit was still there.
Just missed the lung, the doctor said.
Ben, you're going to get yourself killed.
You can't kill 10,000 people. The campaign's been going great ever since that meeting. We've already arrested Lahr 3 times.
You what?
Sure. Once for throwing away a gum wrapper. Once for speeding. He was going 26 in a 25-mile zone. The police have been wonderful. They're just waiting for us to really get something on him. But the thing that's killing Lahr is love.
Love,
We do everything with love. When we send letters, it's with love. We send telegrams, it's with love. We call on the phone, it's with love. When we arrest him and take him down the station, we keep telling him how much we love him. What time is it?
It's about 3:30.
See, you're in luck.
Yeah?
He leaves his office at 4. Gives you a half hour to get down there and watch the way the campaign's working.
That's a good idea. I want to see John Lahr anyhow. I'll see you later, Ben.
Okay, Mr. Stone. Maybe you'll be in time for a citizen's arrest.
John Lahr's office, respectfully titled the Lahr Securities and Investment Corporation, was located on the 38th floor of one of LaSalle Street's taller buildings. Love against corruptioners were everywhere. Riding the elevators, standing outside with banners, across the street opposite Lahr's office windows in a rented suite of rooms with loudspeakers blaring out their love. I went inside the office. Ed, the top strong arm, met me as I came in.
Hold it, Stone.
Oh, hi, Eddie. How's things?
Go back to your friends.
That's no way to talk, Eddie. I came in for an interview. I'm purely a neutral observer. I'd like to get both sides.
Sorry, the boss is all tied up.
Okay, can't say I didn't try.
Eddie, where are those aspirin I told you to... Stone, is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
Well, come on in here. I want to talk to you.
Sure. Excuse me, Eddie.
Neutral observer, my eye.
Come on in, Stone. I'm glad you got here. Now, sit down.
Thanks.
I've been trying to reach you for days. Listen, you seem to have some influence with this maniac. I'm desperate.
Because of a few love letters? I'd be ashamed, Lahr.
Yeah, the doctor says much more of this, and I might not last out the year. It's my heart. That noise is driving me crazy.
Well, maybe a change of climate.
Yeah, they say. It's only a beginning.
There's a law against threatening phone calls.
Oh, if they'd only threaten me, but they don't. They just call me to tell me how much they love me. It's driving me crazy.
To say nothing of the telegram.
Easter telegrams, Christmas telegrams, happy birthday, pleasant 25th wedding anniversary. Oh, my boys are so busy sorting the telegrams in the mail, they haven't done a lick of work for days.
And the arrests?
I step off the curb. They arrest me for jaywalking. Stone, you've got to get rid of him.
Well, I'm afraid there's not much even he can do at this point, Law. It's gotten out of hand.
Yes, you're probably right.
I sympathize with you.
I've beaten back the biggest gangs in the country. Gun battles, 15 men to 1. The police never touch me. But this, I don't know how to fight it, Stone. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. Doctor says maybe a vacation.
Hey, now there's an idea.
Boss, it happened.
What? What's the matter?
Grauffein spilled the beans.
What?
Yeah, the whole works.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
How did it happen?
Well, he couldn't help it, boss. It was the 3rd degree. They gave him the 3rd degree.
Who, the cops?
No, the women.
The women?
Yeah, he was coming home from the office, just walking along, and then it happened. It was horrible. They got him up against a wall, and then they started at him, closing in on him. Big women, small women, long women, short women. They were singing, shouting, fat women, ugly women. They loved it out of him, everything. They loved every bit of information out of him. I don't blame him, boss. He couldn't help it. It could have happened to any one of them.
Oh, no.
Boss, we got to clear out. Now. Lock, stock.
And barrel?
Right. Come on, boss.
Well, don't just sit there, Stone.
Tell you what I'll do, Laura.
What?
I'll help you pack. The last time I saw Mr. John Lahr, he was sneaking aboard an eastbound plane. He had a one-way ticket. It's difficult to describe the way Mr. Lahr looked that evening. After a month of letters of love, telegrams of love, serenades of love, Chicago's underworld king was a shadow of his former self. He was pale, his face was drawn, and there were deep black circles about his eyes. His whole body was racked with a small tremor. I returned to the hospital bed and reported the news to Ben Tusher.
You let him get away?
They'll pick him up, Ben.
Where'd he go? I gotta find out. I gotta go there and...
That's what you think.
Sweetie.
Don't you sweetie me, you old fool.
Now, Sweetie, I didn't mean...
running away from home like that, leaving without a word, getting tied up with these city dudes.
City dudes? This ain't no city dude. This Randy Stone. He's with
Stone, eh? You just listen here, Stone. Ben's a good man. Don't you try getting him tied up with the rest of you gangsters up here.
Now, Mrs. Tusher.
Look at them eyes. I can tell just looking at you what kind of a man you are. Slick. Wouldn't trust you worth a penny.
Oh, please, sweetie.
Now, you get yourself out of that bed and put some clothes on. You're coming home. No more falderall. Can't let you out of my sight a second. I knew you'd meet up with these kind of people up here in the big city, getting lots of trouble. What you been doing? Reforming again?
So Ben Tusher's left town, hauled home by the ear. As for big tough John Lahr, when he and his boys landed in Albany, a branch of Love Against Corruption sang him right into the arms of the local police. So here's to the reformer. Maybe he doesn't wear a white hat and sport a blue banner. Maybe he's just a guy down the block who's found something he doesn't like and he wants to do something about it. Let's put it this way. The strength of a democracy might well be measured by the number of people working to keep it alive. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's transcribed story was written by David Ellis, with music by Robert Armbruster. The part of Ben Tusher was played by Ed Begley. Others featured were Betty Moran, Jeanette Nolan, Paul Freese, and Bill Conrad. Listen next week at this time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness.
Next week on most NBC stations, you will hear Night Beat at a new time, but on this same day, Thursday. So make a note to join Randy Stone and Night Beat next Thursday at the new time. Consult your local newspaper for broadcast time and be sure to join us on the same day, but at the new time, next week for Night Beat. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. In this election year, this station is making it possible for you to follow the campaign of the next president on NBC. Tuesday, July 1st, be sure to hear another of NBC's pre-convention special broadcasts. This program is called Convention City, and it will offer you a complete description of the arrangements being made in Chicago, the host city of both the Republican and Democratic political conventions this year. You'll want to hear this special broadcast and learn more about the city of Chicago, the site of these important conventions. Be sure to hear Convention City next Tuesday. Another special program brought to you so you may follow the campaign of the next president on NBC. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
This I believe. Mrs. Serge Koussevitzky is a sensitive, quiet woman. Yet in her, there is the same passionate consecration to music which made her late husband one of the brightest lights on the American cultural scene. Mrs. Koussevitzky fled to France from her native Russia in 1920 and came in 1929 to the United States, where she has lived ever since. This is her creed.
I cannot speak of my belief without also speaking of my innermost personal and spiritual experience. As certain landmarks determine the course we take in life, so too our experiences leave an imprint upon our souls and beliefs. I shall briefly recall 2 outstanding experiences in my life. First, as a very young girl, after a happy, cloudless childhood, I entered a world charged with tempest and trials. A world war, a revolution, a civil war, famine, flight, and exile. It was, nevertheless, during those trying years that I came closer to perceive the truth of faith and the light of the grace of God, which transcends all understanding and shines in the midst of the darkness at noon. As Fra Giovanni said in the turbulent 16th century, "There is radiance and glory in darkness, could we but see, and to see we have only to look. I beseech you to look." It is my firm belief that even as the malignant growth of evil threatens, confuses, attacks, and spreads in the world, the light of grace is active through the innocent, the persecuted, the humble, and the oppressed. It is present in our midst today. My other experience in later years was deeply rewarding and illuminating. To have been near Serge Koussevitzky and not take fire from his flame, ideals, and beliefs would have been well nigh impossible. His was an all-consuming flame and belief in music. His apostolic fervor gave him an almost superhuman power of communication and endurance. Each musical performance was to him a new and supreme offering. It was his presence and his flaming spirit that helped to mold and shape my innermost thought, and to accept life in its unyielding stride and unending inspiration. When his life departed and the light went out of my life, I was given to experience the glow and warmth of heart of those who loved and admired my husband. I saw the path he lighted to those of us who were close to him his associates, his pupils. For me and for mankind, Serge Koussevitzky left a spiritual heritage in the dedication of his life and the light of his art. For he was truly an artist by the grace of God.
Those the beliefs of Mrs. Serge Koussevitzky of Boston, Massachusetts, who is translating her faith into action by serving as a national chairman of Operation Music for Israel.
New wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated seismotite, invites you to stand by for Nick Carter, Master Detective. Today's Nick Carter adventure starring Lon Clark, The Case of the Vanishing Weapon.
I, Dorothy, take thee, Wayne, to my lawful wedded husband, to love, honor, and cherish.
Wayne, darling, please, let's move back from the edge. High places always frighten me, and... Wayne, no! Don't, Wayne! No!
I, Emily, take thee, Wayne, to my lawful wedded husband, to love, honor, and...
Don't keep swimming away from me, Wayne. Help me. You know I can't swim. Please.
Now, Nick Carter and The Case of the Vanishing Weapon, brought to you by new wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. It's 4:20 in the afternoon of an extremely warm day. Driving back to the city, Nick and Patsy meet a car rushing toward them at top speed on the left side of the road.
Get over, you idiot!
Nick, it's a woman. She's going to hit us. Oh, Nick, she ran right into us.
Couldn't get out of her way because of that fence. But at least we avoided a head-on collision. She only struck the back end of the car.
I wonder if she's hurt.
Come on, let's see.
Yeah. Nick, she caromed off your car right smack into that tree.
Must have been ill. I saw her just before we crashed. Slumped over the wheel.
There she is. Oh, Nick, she was thrown through the windshield.
Yeah. She's in pretty bad shape. Seems to be conscious, though.
I can't die.
Can you hear me?
I can't.
You're not going to die. You're going to be all right.
He'll marry again. He'll kill his next wife, too.
What did you say?
For the insurance. I know. I found out too late. I can't die. If I do, he'll do it again. He'll marry again.
Oh, please, don't think about it now.
Dead.
Oh. Nick, she wasn't delirious. She knew what she was saying. Do you think her husband really killed her?
I don't know, Patsy. But I'm going to make it my business to find out.
In just a moment, we'll return to The Case of the Vanishing Weapon, today's adventure with Nick Carter. Yours, a thrilling new cleaning discovery. Yes, to give you faster, easier cleaning than any other cleanser, we've activated seismotite in Old Dutch Cleanser. When there's a sink to clean, a touch of Old Dutch Cleanser works dazzling magic. Just see new sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser go to work. It dissolves grease on contact. Quickly, easily, its sudsing action sweeps away dirt and stains. Snowy white Old Dutch Cleanser cleans fast, safe, sure. Leaves no gritty sediment. Rinses away completely. Doesn't clog drains. Get 2 cans of Old Dutch Cleanser. One for the kitchen, one for the bathroom. Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated seismotite. Now, back to The Case of the Vanishing Weapon, today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. It is a short time later. Nick and Patsy are talking with the chief of police of Elm City, the town the dead woman lived in.
Well, that's the story, Chief. I've given you her exact words.
Oh, I've known Kay Bolton since she was a little girl.
Well, do you know her husband, too?
Sure. He came here from out west someplace, I understand.
They've been married long?
About a year, I guess.
I see.
Kay was a widow with a good farm, a little money in the bank. I guess Bolton knowed a good thing when he seen it, and he just swept her right off her feet.
What did her family think about it?
She don't have no family except a brother, and he was away at the time. You see, he builds bridges.
I see. Hey, Chief, did you notice that the windows in Mrs. Bolton's car were all shut up tight? A day like this, it must have been sweltering in there.
Yeah, it would be. Well, Kay had hay fever kind of bad. I heard her say many times she'd rather roast than sneeze her head off from the pollen in the air.
Yes, but that's no reason to have the heater on.
The heater?
Yeah. When I examined the wreck, I noticed that the heater was on full blast.
Nick, you said she was slumped over the wheel as though she were unconscious just before the collision.
Yeah?
Maybe she passed out from the heat.
Well, now, that don't make sense, Miss Bowen. If it was that bad, seems like even Kay'd stop and cool off. Hay fever, no.
I'd think she would. But suppose she were unconscious from carbon monoxide fumes or something.
Huh? You mean Bolton might have done something to the exhaust pipe so them fumes go inside?
Maybe.
But she wasn't unconscious when you got to her.
No. But the shock of the wreck could have snapped her out of it.
Well...
Look, Chief, suppose we don't say anything about our suspicions until after we talk to her husband.
Yeah. Here, and let him think he's put it over on us, huh? And I'll have the autopsy performed as soon as we get back to town.
Yeah, but you'll need the husband's permission, won't you? And he'll never give it if he's guilty.
You've got something there, Miss Bowen.
Well, nevertheless, let's try it anyway. Maybe we can learn something from his reaction when we suggest that autopsy.
An autopsy, nothing doing. Kay suffered enough already.
Just a minute, Bolton. Kay was my sister as well as your wife. And if the chief thinks an autopsy would serve any useful purpose, I'm in favor of it.
But what useful purpose?
An autopsy would show whether there was anything in her system that would make her unconscious.
What difference does it make? She's dead. Autopsy won't bring her back.
Did she have any insurance, Mr. Bolton?
Yes, we had a joint policy for $20,000 payable to the survivor.
And this farm, who gets that?
Well, I don't know. We never discussed it.
Well, you get it, Bolton. Huh? Kay wrote me she'd made a new will after she married you, leaving you everything.
I didn't know. Well, there won't be any autopsy, and that's final.
As Kay's brother, I have something to say about that. And if there's any suspicion that her death wasn't accidental...
You have any reason to think that, Mr. McEwen?
Well, why else would you want an autopsy? And why would you want to know who benefits by her death? If there's any doubt, I want it cleared up. And you should too, Bolton.
Well, I do, Mac, of course,
well,
but...
then just sign this paper giving your consent.
Well, very well. Give it here.
There you are.
Mr. Bolton, I don't like to butt in, but I can't find the housekeeper.
Well, she went to her room, Sam. She's all upset.
Oh. Well, Mr. Mack, that 5 gallons of ice cream Mr. Bolton got for the party tomorrow, she didn't put in the deep freeze, and it's all melted. I was wondering...
Throw it out. Do anything you want with it. Only get out of here and go back to your work.
Oh, yes, sir.
Who's that, Chief?
That's Sam Webb, the hired hand.
What you doing here, Chief? Ain't nothing wrong, is there?
Yes, Sam. It's Mrs. Bolton. She's dead.
No. Wrecked the car, did she?
What makes you think that?
Huh? Why, just the first thing that popped into my head, I guess. Besides, I thought she wasn't in no condition to drive when she come out to the barn and drove off.
What? You mean she was ill?
Oh, no, ma'am. She was mad. Blazing mad, if you ask me. Folks can't keep their mind on their driving when they're like that.
What were you doing in the barn? I thought I told you to mend that fence at the bottom of the west pasture.
Well, I finished up early, Mr. Bolton. So I thought I'd clean out the stalls and do some repairing. I was there when you come in.
Sam, did Mrs. Bolton tell you what she was angry about?
No, sir, but she was good and mad.
Oh, it wasn't anything, Mr. Carter. Bolton was late getting back with the car, and Kay had an appointment in Elm City. She was mad because she was going to be late.
I couldn't help being late. I was delayed.
Was there a quarrel, Mr. Bolton?
Of course not. Kay was always flying off the handle, but it didn't mean anything. I sent Mac out to the car for the rest of the supplies I'd brought back while I tried to talk her out of it, but I couldn't.
I see. Well, thanks for giving your consent to the autopsy, Mr. Bolton. May I answer some very important questions?
Good morning.
Hello, Carter. Miss Bowen.
Hello.
Oh, gosh, what a night. I was down at the blame garage till 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh, did the mechanic find anything suspicious?
Well, the car was smashed up pretty bad, but he swears the wreck didn't affect nothing that could have caused the accident.
Did he check the steering gear, the brakes?
Yeah, and the muffler, too. Nothing had been tampered with.
And the autopsy showed absolutely no trace of carbon monoxide in her lungs or blood. No other poisonous gas, for that matter.
And she wasn't drugged either.
I guess we was wrong about Bolton doing it. Maybe she did fall asleep at the wheel.
No, I doubt that, Chief. Anyone who was as upset and angry as Sam said Mrs. Bolton was just wouldn't doze off.
Are you still trying to make out it was more than an accident, are you?
Oh, we're sure it was.
Well, now, if Bolton caused that wreck without tampering with the car and without drugging her in any way, he's committed a perfect crime. A murder without a single clue.
I wouldn't say that, Chief. Every unexplained fact is a clue. And there are several in this case.
Such as what?
Well, why was Sam so sure she'd been killed in an auto wreck? Why should her dying words have been about murder for insurance? And why was she driving with the heater turned on?
Okay, if you're looking for unexplained facts, what about the ice cream?
Well, what about it?
Well, now, Bolton brought that back from town at 4 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
And when we was there at 7:30, it was all melted, according to Sam.
Oh, well, that's only natural. The housekeeper forgot to put it in the deep freeze.
Miss Bowen, we get them 5-gallon containers of ice cream for picnics and such. We get 'em early in the morning. And they're still as hard as a rock when we eat supper.
By George, that's it.
Huh?
Huh? Well, what's what?
That's what killed Mrs. Bolton. The weapon that vanished into thin air.
Vanished?
Literally and completely, without leaving a trace.
What? Then there's no way of proving it, is there?
Not unless we can get a confession. And anybody smart enough to think of a scheme like that won't be easily bluffed.
Now, Lucato, where would you get a weapon that would vanish that way?
At your local creamery, just as Bolton did.
Oh, Nick, you're not saying that Mrs. Bolton was murdered with 5 gallons of ice cream?
No? If it wasn't for that ice cream, she'd be alive right now.
Oh, Nick.
Come on, let's drive out to the farm. Now I've got something to work on.
I know, Carter. I carried that container of ice cream into the house from the car without opening it. But Bolton...
Yes, McEwen, were you going to say something?
Well, only that when I went through the kitchen to get the other things out of the car, I noticed that the seal on the container was broken.
Well, I didn't break it. Perhaps the housekeeper...
No, Mr. Bolton. I asked her. She was upstairs at the time.
Well, what's the ice cream got to do with it anyway, Mr. Carter? Plenty, McEwen. Those 5-gallon containers are in 2 sections. One for the ice cream itself, and one that holds dry ice to keep it from melting.
Well, so what?
Did you ever notice how drowsy you get in the crowded room where the air is stale?
Well, sure. That's because the oxygen in the air has been used up.
And replaced with carbon dioxide, which people have exhaled. That's what happens when we breathe.
Well, come to the point, Carter.
All right, I will. When I examined your car just after the wreck, Mr. Bolton, I found a few small pieces of dry ice in the heater. Dry ice is nothing but carbon dioxide in a solid form. In the heater of your wife's car, it melted, fast, and flooded the car with carbon dioxide.
And with all the windows closed, it must have been 10 times as bad as the most crowded, stuffy room you ever saw.
And that's why she went to sleep at the wheel.
That's fantastic. You think somebody took the dry ice out of that ice cream container and put it in the heater of the car
to make her wreck the car and kill herself? Yeah, Mr. Bolton, that's exactly what we think.
Then it must have been Mac.
Why, that's a lie.
You went through the kitchen when I left the ice cream and then went out to the car for the rest of the things. You must have opened the package and...
Are you accusing me of murdering my own sister?
It had to be you. Nobody else could have done it.
No? Well, who got her to take out that insurance policy?
Huh?
Who inherits this farm and everything else she owns?
That doesn't mean...
I don't get anything out of her death, and I don't want to. But you get
now,
plenty.
Calm down, Mac. Calm down.
She was all I had. And he killed her. He killed her.
I did not. You did it yourself. And now you're trying
all
to...
right. Hold it. I know how we can find out who put that dry ice in the heater.
How?
Ask Sam, your hired man.
Sam?
What would he know about it?
He was in the barn from the time you drove in with the ice cream, Mr. Bolton, until your wife left about 10 minutes later. Dry ice melts fast, very fast. To be effective, it'd have to be put in sometime during that 10 minutes.
Sure. You're right, Mr. Carter. Sam must have seen him putting that stuff in the heater. That's why he figured Kay was killed in a wreck.
Yeah, maybe he didn't think nothing of it at the time, but afterwards he realized what he saw. And then maybe he figured he could get paid for not talking.
Well, he'll talk now. He'll talk or I'll break him in two.
All right, no, McEwen. You and Bolton will stay here with the chief. Patsy and I will go talk with Sam. And after we do, Chief, I think you'll have a new boarder at the county jail.
Nick, you didn't really find any dry ice in the heater of that car, did you?
Why, of course not, Patsy. I told you I'd have to bluff.
Yeah, but if Sam did see something, it won't be a bluff any longer.
Oh, yes, it will. He may have seen something, but he couldn't tell what was actually going on inside the car from back in the stalls where he was working.
No, I guess not.
Or maybe we can use Sam's testimony to frighten the killer into giving himself away. Oh, here, this must be Sam's shack.
Uh-huh. He must be here. We know he's nowhere else on the farm.
Yeah. Let's see if the door's locked. No, it isn't. Go on in.
Right. Oh, Nick, look. They're on the floor.
Oh, that's Sam.
Nick, he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah. Shot through the head. Probably sometime last night. Look around the floor. See if you can find an empty cartridge.
Right.
If he was killed with an automatic, there's a chance the empty shell's on the floor somewhere.
Well, if it is, I'll find it.
Here. Here's something.
What is it?
Somebody knelt down beside the body. There's a perfect knee print and a smear of blood. You can even see the weave of the material the trousers were made of. Some sort of coarse tweed.
Nick, I found it.
The cartridge shell?
Yes, it was under the table. Here.
Huh. Now we can really get down to business.
Yes, this time we've got a weapon that can't vanish into thin air.
An empty cartridge case, the first bit of concrete evidence the wife killer has left in a series of 5 murders. But Nick still faces the problem of proving his guilt. We'll see what happens in just a moment. An important announcement. Coming next week on Nick Carter, Old Dutch Cleanser's big new contest. Listen so you can get an early start in this easy, fascinating contest that pays off with loads of valuable prizes. And remember, we've activated Seismotite in Old Dutch Cleanser. Its amazing sudsing action sweeps away dirt and stains, cuts grease on contact, cleans fast, safe, sure, leaves no gritty sediment, rinses away completely, saves you time and work, helps you keep your house at its shining best. New sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser is at your grocer's now in the same familiar package. Get 2 cans tomorrow. 1 for the kitchen, 1 for the bathroom. Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated Seismotite. Now, back to The Case of the Vanishing Weapon. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by Old Dutch Cleanser. At the farmhouse, Nick and the chief are trying to find the automatic with which Sam Webb, the Bolton's hired hand, was killed. Mac has admitted owning such a gun, and they've gone to his room to get it.
There you are, Mr. Carter. But I swear I haven't touched that gun since I came back 2 weeks ago.
Did Bolton know where you kept it, Mac?
Well, I don't know, Chief, but it wouldn't have been hard to find.
I didn't even know he had a gun.
Well, this is a 38. Sam was killed with a 32.
A 32? Then Bolton must have used Kay's gun.
What are you talking about? Kay didn't own a gun.
Why, you're a liar. She had a 32 automatic for years, kept at her bedside table, and you know it.
That's not true. You can come and look for yourself, Chief. Our room is right across the hall. But you won't find any gun there.
No, don't expect to, not now. Oh, here's your gun, McEwen.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Carter. But Kay did have a gun. Charlie must have seen it hundreds of times.
Don't worry. We'll get at the truth.
There, look for yourself. Do you see a gun in that drawer? Kay wouldn't have a gun in the house.
All right, let's forget about that for a minute. Who owns a tweed suit?
A tweed suit, Mr. Carter? Why?
We found evidence proving that Sam's killer was wearing a suit of coarse tweed at the time of the murder. You have one?
Why, no.
Neither do I. Well, you shouldn't have said that, Bolton. I've seen you wearing a tweed suit 100 times.
Well, I did have a tweed suit, but Kay gave it away last week. It was worn out.
Who'd she give it to?
I don't know. She didn't
Why,
say.
Bolton, I saw that suit hanging in your closet only yesterday. I'll bet it's there right now. What's gone?
Naturally.
Of course it is. Any fool would know enough to get rid of a piece of evidence like that.
I tell you, I haven't had it for over a week.
Wait a minute. You went down in the cellar carrying a bundle this morning, Bolton.
That was the garbage.
Mrs. Lawrence always puts the garbage in a paper bag. The bundle you had was wrapped in newspaper.
It was not. It was a paper bag.
And then I heard the furnace door.
I always burn the garbage in the furnace. You know that.
Bolton, suppose we take a look in that furnace and see what else you was burning.
Here's another scrap of tweed that didn't burn.
That's part of your suit, ain't it, Bolton?
Yes, but I didn't put it there. Mac did it. He's framing me.
Oh, sure.
He is, I tell you. Everything you found could have been done by him, couldn't it? He could have put that dry ice in the car heater as well as me. He could have shot Sam and put that suit in the furnace.
And wore the suit to kill Sam, too, I guess. Why, you blame fool. Anybody can see that Mac couldn't get into your clothes with a shoehorn. He's twice as big as you are.
And I never owned a tweed suit in my life.
Anyway, the knee print by Sam's body had exactly the same weave as this tweed that was burned in the furnace.
Wait a minute.
Did you find something else, Nick?
say I did, down among the ashes. Look.
That's it. That's Kay's gun. I never saw that gun before in all my life.
Any fingerprints on it, Carter? Afraid not, Chief. The whole outside is burned clean.
Yes, but a ballistics test will show if it's the gun that Sam was killed with. Won't it, Nick?
Without a doubt.
Even if it's the same gun, that doesn't prove anything.
Well, here's something that does, Bolton. A perfect set of fingerprints.
Prints? Well, I thought you said the gun was burned clean.
The outside was, yes. But there's a fine set here on the cartridge clip. I thought they might have been overlooked.
That's smart thinking, Carter.
Well, how come the cartridges didn't explode in the fire, Nick?
The clip's empty, Patsy.
Oh.
But the prints are nice and clear.
They're not my prints. I never saw that gun.
Yeah? Well, now, I'll just take that clip over to the county seat and let the fingerprint man there have a look at him.
Oh, if you don't mind, Chief, I'd rather take this to the fingerprint lab in the city.
Huh? What's the matter with Joe Parker over at the county seat?
Well, he may be perfectly all right, but... Well, look, let me have my own way, will you, please? I'll stay at the hotel in Elm City tonight, drive into the city tomorrow, and have a report you can depend on before tomorrow evening.
Well, okay, keep the blame clip. And you, Bolton, come on. I'm locking you up where you can't get out to commit no more murders.
Who's there? Who's in the room? Who is it?
Don't move, Mr. Carter. You're a fine target under that bed lamp.
McEwen. What are you doing here?
I came to get something that belongs to me. That clip with the fingerprints on it.
What? And those are your prints. Bolton was telling the truth. You killed Sam.
Sure I did. Couldn't let him tell about seeing me put that dry ice in the heater of Kay's car, could I? And he said he had been in the barn at the time. I had to get rid of him.
And all the evidence against Bolton. You planted it yourself.
Why not? Somebody had to be the patsy. And I could see you suspected him already. Nobody knew I had that .32. So I said it belonged to Kay. And who can prove that it didn't?
And you planted it in the furnace for us to find, together with a tweed suit.
Sure. That suit was the smartest part of the whole frame-up. Kay gave it to Sam. It was hanging right there in front of me when I shot him.
But you couldn't have worn it. It was too small for you.
No. But I could wrap it around my knee and then make a print in that blood stain, couldn't I? Didn't tell you I saw Bolton trying to burn it.
You thought of everything, didn't you?
Everything but that cartridge clip with my fingerprints on it. Where is it, Carter? Or do I put a bullet in your head?
All right, you win. It's in the left-hand top dresser drawer, wrapped in a handkerchief.
Yeah? Thanks for making it easy. First, we'll wipe these prints out. And then, Mr. Carter, I'm afraid I'll have to get rid of you.
And now, hold on, McEwen. You've destroyed the proof against you, and I let it go at that.
I can't let you talk about this little visit.
Look, McEwen, don't
Shut
do
up. I said I was going to get rid of you, and I am. So...
As Mac points his gun at Nick's head and pulls the trigger, he stands only a few feet away, too close to miss. We'll see what happens in just a moment. Here's a wash day tip. Keep your washer sparkling clean inside and out with wonderful new Sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser. Yes, a touch of Old Dutch Cleanser cuts grease on contact, sweeps away dirt and stains almost like magic. You'll be amazed at the new sudsing action of Old Dutch Cleanser. Snowy white, leaves no gritty sediment, rinses away completely. It's been granted the Good Housekeeping seal. Yes, ladies, for faster, easier cleaning than you've dreamed possible, switch to new sudsing Old Dutch Cleanser, the only cleanser made with activated seismotite. And next week, Old Dutch Cleanser's wonderful new contest starts. Easy to enter, easy to win. It's loads of fun with loads of valuable prizes. Hear all about this sensational new contest and how you may win next week on Nick Carter. Now for the conclusion of The Case of the Vanishing Weapon. Today's adventure with Nick Carter, brought to you by new wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. In Nick's hotel room, he faces a killer with a gun who says,
I said I was going to get rid of you, and I am. So...
Oh! You had a gun all the time, under the bedclothes. Sorry, Mac. I tried to warn you.
Nick, are you all right?
I'm okay, Patsy. But our friend here has a bullet in his arm. Come on in.
If you're all down a shorthand, Nick, the microphone picked up every
You
word
mean
he said.
this was a trap? You bet it was. See, I expected you to come for that cartridge clip.
If my gun hadn't jammed...
It didn't jam. I took all the bullets out of it when I examined it out at the farmhouse today. But I couldn't be sure you hadn't discovered that and reloaded it, so I had to shoot first.
What's the matter there? Who fired that gun? What's going on?
Everything's under control. Call the chief of police, will you?
Sure, Mr. Carter, sure. I'll get him here in 2 shakes.
Where's your proof, Carter? My fingerprints aren't on the cartridge clip anymore.
Your confession before 2 witnesses is proof enough, McEwen. And as for those fingerprints, I was bluffing you.
Why, you...
So far as I know, there weren't any prints on that clip.
Nick, how did you know Wayne McEwen killed his sister and Sam Webb?
Well, I was pretty sure of it from the moment we found out how McEwen's sister was killed.
Done that.
Mm-hmm. Furthermore, every bit of evidence we had against Bolton came directly from McEwen.
Chief, did you find out why he killed his sister?
Yeah, he told us all about it at the jailhouse. Seems his bridge building business ain't been so good these last few years, so McEwen drummed up a sideline of getting married and then killing off his wives for their insurance.
Oh, then he was the one Mrs. Bolton was talking about just before she died.
Right, Patsy.
Yeah, but how'd you ever find out about this?
McEwen says she was cleaning up his room the day before she was killed, and she came across some of his private papers that he'd forgotten to put away.
Uh-huh.
She didn't know he'd been married at all, so when she found a marriage certificate, she got curious.
Oh.
And what she found in the rest of the stuff gave her a pretty good idea of what'd been going on.
Then that night she accused him of killing the 2 girls, and he admitted it. When he asked her what she was going to do about it, she said she hadn't made up her mind.
Well, if I'd been in her place, I'd have turned him over to the police.
Oh, she wanted to, Miss Bowen, but he was her only brother, and she couldn't quite make up her mind to do it.
But Mac didn't dare to take any chances, so he killed her.
Yeah, he was pretty clever about it, too. He almost got away with it.
Yeah, but when he killed Sam, he outsmarted himself.
Well, you know the old saying, Nick. Give a killer enough rope and he'll hang himself.
So he will, Patsy. So he will. Every time.
Well, Nick, that's the last of them.
Okay, Patsy, that's all for now. You better go home and change. Remember, we're meeting Bill and his wife at 7:30 for dinner.
Well, how about after dinner? I want to know how to dress.
Well, Bill said something about taking in an amusement park and ending up with a boat ride on the river in the moonlight.
Oh, hold on. Take it easy, Carter.
Hey, for heaven's sake, Patsy.
Amusement park, boat rides, redheads, penicillin.
Okay, I get it.
I don't want to end up at the bottom of the river just because the ticket seller was a beautiful redhead who posed as a
Hey,
model.
hold on, Patsy. Let's tell about that adventure next week. We'll call it The Case of the Purloined Penicillin.
Ladies, have you discovered Delrich margarine? Delicious, rich Delrich makes friends at first taste. Full-flavored, it's the perfect spread for bread, rolls, toast. Try Delrich in your cooking and baking, too. Mighty good, mighty economical. Only Delrich gives you the original easy color pack, the easy, modern way to color margarine. And, where state laws permit, ask for Delrich in gold and yellow quarters. Delrich, America's new favorite. Del for delicious, rich for rich, full flavor. Get Delrich margarine tomorrow, for Delrich makes friends at first taste. Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented each week at this same time by the Cudahy Packing Company. It is produced and directed by Jock McGregor and is copyrighted by Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. Lon Clark is starred as Nick, and Charlotte Manson is featured as Patsy. Today's script was written by Jim Parsons, with original music played by Henry Silbern. This program is fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. This is Michael Fitzmaurice saying, when minutes count, use new, wonderful Old Dutch Cleanser. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Osbert Lancaster is one of England's leading authorities on the history of architecture. He is better known to the public, however, as the witty and incisive cartoonist whose work appears regularly in the London Daily Express. His architectural books bear titles such as Classical Landscape with Figures and Drainafleet Revealed, and are no less lively than the daily doings of his popular cartoon characters. Here are some of Osbert Lancaster's beliefs.
It would be easy to say, look up the Nicene Creed and leave it at that, but not helpful. To fulfill the purposes of this broadcast, it is at least necessary that I should make some attempt to explain how I came to this belief and why I continue to accept it. First, I was brought up in the faith of the Church of England, against which, at various periods, I have, quite naturally, reacted strongly, but to which I have always returned. It was, I think, Renan who stated that, contrary to the popular belief, very few people are sufficiently well equipped intellectually to justify their agnosticism, and I had never been so foolish as to number myself among them. Certain of the Church's doctrines, which to others are stumbling blocks, do not appear difficult to me. In the middle of the 20th century after Christ, it surely requires a far greater act of faith to believe in progress than to accept the dogma of original sin. I am no mystic, and indeed temperamentally opposed to all manifestations of mysticism. Skeptical by nature, my faith, such as it is a product of my skepticism. When I am constantly being presented with what I am assured are scientific facts, which I am quite incapable of disputing, and which I am asked to accept on the authority of specialists, whose judgment, outside their own sphere, frequently strikes me as inept, why should I question the Incarnation? The basic fact of human existence is, surely, isolation. Each of us, locked up in our private, air-conditioned watchtower of nerves and self-interest, is striving desperately to communicate. Occasionally, art or love provides a wavelength on which some jumbled and never fully comprehended signal gets through. The belief that God himself was once of his own free will so incarcerated provides the hope that release may come. As to the result of my acceptance of the Christian faith, I feel that certain of my deepest convictions are justified beliefs and not just prejudices. That while the means may frequently transform the end can never, in any circumstances, justify the means. That all human institutions exist for the benefit of the individual and not the other way around. That human personality is always and everywhere sacred. But because one proclaims a faith, it does not mean that it always burns with a steady, unvarying flame. Often, too often, it is quenched not only by public calamity or private sorrow, but even so flickering as the jet, by a disordered liver or irrational fear. Then all I can do is to remind myself that the Church does not consider giving way to depression, for such I take to be the meaning of accident, to be an inevitable misfortune, but a sin to be fought. And to repeat once more the words of one of the greatest churchmen these islands have ever produced, Dean Jonathan Swift. I am not answerable to God for the doubts that arise in my own breast, since they are the consequence of that reason which he hath planted in me. If I take care to conceal these doubts from others, if I use my best endeavours to subdue them, and if they have no influence on the conduct of my life.
That was England's Osbert Lancaster, who writes about architecture, draws cartoons, and designs scenery and costumes for opera and ballet.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And
it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. This is David Bryan. In a moment, we'll bring you another case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. But first, a word from our sponsor.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
Crime has many byproducts that too often do not receive the attention they should. One such underrated byproduct of crime is its shattering effect on loved ones involved. Sometimes they suffer in silence. Sometimes they try to take matters into their own hands. One who took this unwise course was Ann Scott, who has come to the warehouse of the Walper Importing Company to speak to its owner in his private office.
Yes? Come in, come in. Well, hello. Who are you?
I'm Ann Scott. You're Mr. Walper?
That's the name. What can I do for you?
Does a man named Claude Johnson work for you?
Yeah, for a long time. What about him?
That's what I thought you could tell me.
What? I'm afraid I don't get what you're driving at.
I want information, Mr. Walper. This man, Claude Johnson, there's something wrong, and I want to protect my sister from it.
Your sister? Well, look, I don't like to be rude, but your family troubles, I don't see how they concern me.
Then what about these papers?
Bills of lading on my letterhead. Where'd you get them?
For my sister's death?
Hmm?
They have something to do with what's going on between Barbara and Claude. And I'm going to find out even if I have to go to the police.
The police? No. Now, wait a minute. Let's take it easy. You don't want to get your sister mixed up with the police, do you? Yeah. Let me talk to Claude and see what I can find out.
All right. And thanks. Can I call you tomorrow?
That'll give me plenty of time.
Thanks again.
Miss Scott.
Yes?
Let's keep the police out of it. And don't say anything to anybody. Not until you hear from me.
I won't, unless I have to.
Hey, look out! Take that car! Hey, stop! You hit her! You hit her!
Miss Miller, has Harrington called in yet?
Oh, Mr. Garrett. No, he hasn't called yet. Maybe that's Harrington now. District Attorney's office. Oh, perfect timing, Harrington. He was just asking for you. Hold on. Do you want to take it here, Mr. Garrett?
Fine. Say, Harrington, anything new on that hit and run?
Pretty bad, Chief. Looks like a deliberate rundown. Almost went up the sidewalk to get her.
Did I understand it happened right outside the Walper Importing Company?
Yeah. In fact, the girl was just coming out of Walter's place when the car got her.
Run down that car, Harrington. I'll talk to you later.
Maybe I shouldn't say this, Mr. Garrett, but you look like a rabbit sniffing a juicy carrot.
Well, if Walper is mixed up in this somehow, I wouldn't exactly call him a carrot. I'm going over to General Hospital, and I want to talk to that Scott girl. See you later, Miss Miller. Scott.
Yes? Who are you?
The nurse said you could talk. I'm the district attorney.
I have nothing to say. Go away, please.
But, Miss Scott, it's our responsibility to catch the hit-and-run driver who struck you.
I won't tell you anything. Go away. Go away. Leave me alone. Go away. And dear, what's the matter? You. Stop. Stop. Don't come near me. Don't you know me? I'm your sister, Barbara.
Oh, wait! Don't touch me! Oh, take her away!
Look, Barbara, Miss Scott, you'd better leave her alone.
I don't understand. What's happened to her?
I suggest we step outside and let her quiet down.
My sister. Not wanting to see me.
Barbara, dear, why are you crying?
Oh, Claude, I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, what happened? Is Anne...
Oh, no, she'll be all right. But this gentleman and I were in the room. It was terrible.
Your sister's overwrought. That's all, Miss Scott. Oh, by the way, my name is Garrett, district attorney. District attorney? Oh, I'm Claude Johnson, Barbara's fiancé. Well, how do you do? How do you do? Miss Scott, I came here to ask your sister a couple of questions. Perhaps you might help me.
If I can.
First, about these bills of lading.
Where did you get those?
Well, they were in your sister's purse. Can you tell me why your sister went to the Walper Importing Company this morning?
I just can't talk now.
Look, what is this, a third degree? Can't you see that Barbara's in no condition to answer your foolish questions?
When Barbara feels better, would you bring her to my office, please?
Of course. You certainly want to do what's right.
Fine. Goodbye.
Barbara, what was Anne doing with those manifests? How did she get them?
I don't know. But she's been so suspicious of us. She even warned me against you.
So that's it. Barbara, you're sure of my love, aren't you?
Of course, dear. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Sweetheart, there's only one answer. That shipment, the big one I told you about.
Oh, Claude, dear, do we have to talk about it now?
I got the advance word. I'm going to get my hands on every penny I can scrape together, no matter how.
Claude, I have money, and I want you to use it.
I told you I won't touch your money.
Use my money and call it a loan. What's wrong with that?
Loan? Yeah, of course. But strictly as business. As soon as the deal's through, I could pay it back. And we could get married.
Of course, dear.
Well, that's it, then. Yeah, but we have to work fast. Now, how soon could you get the money?
I'll go to the bank this afternoon.
Oh, Barbara, you're wonderful. Yeah, I better get back to work. Call you later,
Great, darling.
Oh, you going back in to see Anne?
No, I can't. I'll talk to her nurse.
Yes, let her rest. She needs lots of rest. Goodbye.
Okay, that'll do it. You're loaded. Now hightail it down to the dock. Walper talking. Look, Skipper, I told you a dozen times. Don't worry. We'll get the mermaid loaded in good time. I'm taking care of everything. Okay.
Hello, Walter.
Well, if it isn't the district attorney himself. What's the occasion for this visit?
A few questions. What do you know about a girl named Ann Scott?
Ann Scott? A pretty name.
Why did she come here this morning?
Maybe to get out of the sun. How should I know? What's it all supposed to be about?
I don't know yet, but I certainly intend to find out why someone tried to kill that girl with an automobile.
Sure. You're playing the wrong horse asking me questions.
Hey, Chief, is everything all right?
Harrington, what brings you?
Miss Miller told me you'd be here. Figured you'd like to know. We found the hit-run car.
Good work.
Same broken headlight. And you know what, Chief? The car's registered to Barbara Scott.
Ann's sister?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the car now?
10th Street Garage. I'm going to check back with the attendant who was on duty when it was brought in.
Well, get right on it. Call me with anything new.
Right, Chief. Where'll you be?
Having a talk with Barbara Scott. This time she'll answer questions, shock or no shock.
Okay. See you later.
Well, dear, I guess you won't need me anymore. Got some work to do.
All right, Walter. But I might turn up with a few more questions for you later.
If you say so. I'm afraid it's the wrong horse again, D.A., but keep punching.
I will, Walter. I will.
Walter.
Walter,
is he gone?
Claude. What's the idea, hiding behind those cases?
Look, I'm in a jam. I need some help.
It sounds like it. What's this all about? First the girl and now the D.A. You behind all this?
Well, in a way, I guess.
You guess? Why, you stupid crumb? Stop it. Let me go. Say, it ought to kill you. The DA would give his right arm to socket to me, and you got him nosing around.
Don't worry. You give me a little cooperation, everything will be okay.
Cut the double talk. Let's have it. What's the story?
Well, I saw a chance for some easy money. Barbara thinks a lot of me. Thinks I'm going to marry her. So I figured out a deal.
Using my man.
Just window trimming. I told her I had an inside track on the market. Then I cinched it by borrowing a couple $100 from her a couple of times. Gave it back with profit. As soon as I get the money from Barbara this afternoon, I clear her out of the country.
Just like that.
Well, why not? Your ship, the Mermaid, is loading up and starts for the Far East tonight, doesn't it?
Huh?
Well, you give the okay, I'll be on that ship, and nobody'll find me. Do I get help?
Okay. Why not? You deserve a break. You'll ship on the Mermaid.
I thought you'd see it my way. Now, fix it with Skipper, huh?
Sure, he's expecting my call anyway. No, this is Walper. Let me talk to Skipper. Hey, Skipper. Claude Johnson's on his way down. He wants to talk to you about going with your ship tonight. Yeah, it's all okay. Take care of it. So long.
Thanks, Walter. Thanks a lot. I'll be back when things quiet down.
Glad to do it. Get down there and check with Skipper. And you might as well take down whatever you need now.
Good deal. Thanks again.
You're welcome. You're real welcome. Skipper, Walper again. What I said about Johnson goes double. Take care of him. Take care of him real good.
Get that cargo swing over here! Easy! Hold it!
Hey, up there on the Mermaid! Tell Skipper Claude Johnson's here. Johnson! Watch it, that cargo swing! Coming right at me! This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the hit-and-run killer, here's an important message I'd like you to hear.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A girl had almost been murdered by a car belonging to her sister. But with all the tangled threads I held, I could see none that pointed to a motive. Ann Scott, terrified by her narrow escape from death, refused to tell me anything. Her sister Barbara had to know some answers, including the mysterious shipment manifest from Walper's company. And the answer to the big question, why would Barbara want to kill her sister? I'll get it, Miss Miller. Hello?
Hello, Chief.
Harrington, have you found her yet?
No, not a sign. Pretty strange. She didn't show up for an appointment with a hairdresser. Now, when a dame does that, something's wrong.
And keep digging, Harrington. We've got to locate Barbara Scott.
You know me, Chief.
You think she ran out, Mr. Garrett?
It doesn't gel, Miss Miller. Still, the way that fiancé of hers, Claude Johnson, tried to prevent me from asking her questions, maybe he fits in somewhere.
Did you say Claude Johnson?
Yes. You know him?
Just a minute. That name rings a bell. Corey, here it is. Look this, Mr. Garrett.
Well, this is the old Walper file.
Remember you told me you'd get it together? Well, I did. And look, his name on the payroll.
Oh, Claude Johnson. So he worked for Walper.
He did a year ago. What does it mean?
It means you're a very remarkable young woman, Miss Miller. And now we're looking for two of them, Barbara and her fiancé. Let's go.
You did say we're looking, didn't you?
So I did. And so we are. Right now.
Anne. Anne, it's me, Barbara. Oh, no. Wake up, Anne, please. What? Barbara. Barbara, go away. Go away, don't kill me. What are you saying, Anne? I'll go away. I won't try to interfere. You can marry Claude. Don't kill me. Stop it. Stop it, dear. I'm sorry I shook you, but I can't understand you talking this way. Anne. But I saw the car before it hit me. It was your car. I know it was your car. My car? You must be delirious. I saw the car plain. I knew you were angry that you hated me for warning you against Claude, for trying to find out about him, but I was only trying to protect you. Oh, Anne. Tell me, before my car hit you, did you see me driving it? I couldn't see. There was a reflection on the windshield. Barbara, where are you going? There's something I have to do. You just rest, Anne, and get well. You're Mr. Walter, aren't you?
I am. We're closed for business.
Your watchman told me you were back here. I'm Barbara Scott.
Yeah? I'm in sort of a hurry.
I want to find Claude Johnson.
He's probably at his apartment.
I tried, Joe. He hasn't been home since this afternoon.
See.
It's very important that I talk to him.
Well, matter of fact, I haven't seen him all afternoon.
But you must have. He phoned me, said you were sending him down to the waterfront on a job, and he'd call me as soon as he got back.
He did.
Something's wrong here. Good night, Mr. Walker.
Hold it. Where do you think you're going?
I came here to find Claude and give him one more chance to explain, but now I think I'd better go directly to the district attorney.
Think again, Miss Scott.
A gun.
That's right. And it says you'll step over to my car without any trouble. Come on.
I don't understand.
Just move it. You're going for a boat ride. A very short boat ride.
Harrington's going to be surprised to see us.
I could have called, but I figure I might take a look around Miss Scott's apartment myself.
You think Harrington might be asleep?
It's very possible. He's been staked out here waiting for Barbara for the last 2 hours.
Soft job. Oh, this is it. Number 213.
Right.
Oh, gee, Miss Miller.
Barbara didn't come home? No telephone call.
Yeah, nothing at all. Been real quiet here.
You see that, Harrington? Your socks are showing.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I took off my shoes. Sort of rest my feet.
Bless her in your own time. You here from downtown?
Oh, gosh, I almost forgot. Hey, that garage attendant called back. Full description on the person who brought the hit-run car into repair. Interesting.
Oh, Harrington, don't be so mysterious.
It was a him. Perfect description of that Claude Johnson fellow.
Claude? He brought the car in alone?
Yep, all by himself.
He must have been driving Barbara's car. I just knew she couldn't be trying to kill her sister.
Perhaps. Anne was on to something and had to be stopped.
Her sister could still be in the middle of it.
Very much so. But if she isn't, she might be in a very dangerous spot. We've got to find Claude before there's another accident that winds up in murder.
But where do we find her?
I think Walper might know the answer to that one. Let's go, Harrington.
I'm with you, Chief.
I'm sorry to bring this up, Harrington, but don't you think you might need to see?
Oh, you women. Think of everything. Go ahead, Chief. I'll catch up with you.
This is the dock.
Those lights out on the water. That must be Walper's ship, the Mermaid.
It is.
There's Walter, coming out of the cabin in that motorboat at the dock.
Now Walter and that other fellow are loading wooden cases into that dory.
Is that what you call that little boat, a dory?
That's right, Miss Miller. And I see it's made fast to his boat with a line. Walter is evidently going to tow the dory out to the big ship, the Mermaid.
Hey, Chief. They're through putting the cases in the dory. The other fellow's going. Walper's alone.
Good. I'll go talk to him. You stay here in the car, Harrington, just in case Claude is around.
Right.
Coming, Miss Miller?
Nothing I like better than a walk along the waterfront at night.
Hello there, Mr. Walper.
What? Oh, Garrett. Be with you as soon as I put this crate down on the deck. Yeah.
You know, Watson said we'd find you here. Mind telling me where you're going?
Why should I mind? I'm in the importing business, remember?
I remember.
So I also export. My ship's sailing in an hour, and I'm taking out some cases of supplies to it.
I see. These cases?
Yeah. Canned stuff and some ship supplies. Want me to open one up for you?
Well, that won't be necessary. I checked customs. They've already cleared your ship for sailing.
Don't miss a trick, do you? I'll open the case anyway. See? Canned goods, that's all.
Fair enough. And the cases in the dory are the same?
Sure. Put them in there because I'm taking the dory out. The mermaid needs another lifeboat.
Okay. Where's Claude Johnson?
Claude? Haven't seen him all afternoon.
Isn't that unusual?
What's unusual about it?
Well, on a day one of your ships is loading, I'd think all of your employees would be busy.
Oh, you got it wrong, miss. Johnson's my bookkeeper. He doesn't work the dock.
How about Barbara Scott? Any idea where she is?
You don't even know her. Now, look, D.A., this stuff you're asking. What's it all got to do with me?
I have every reason to believe your man Johnson was involved in a hit and run, and I'd like your help in finding him.
I'd be glad to help if I could. Tomorrow I'll have more time.
I see. Just stay here, Miss Miller. I'll be right back.
Hey, where are you going?
Now look into your cabin.
Hold it. You got no search warrant.
I'm not making a search, Walper. You can't keep me out of there.
I think I can. With this.
Mr. Garrett, he's got a gun.
You take one more step toward the cabin, the little lady here gets it first. Now back.
Thanks, Hankin. He just gave you with the gun back.
Sorry, I was a little slow. But Walper won't be spotting anybody else for a while.
I see that. Where's Miss Miller?
Down here in the cabin. Barbara Scott's here.
We're coming.
You had her tied up?
Yeah, gagged, too. Let me take this tape off her mouth. Yeah.
Oh, it's better. I could hardly breathe. You were so frightened. He told me he had to kill Claude, and that I was next. He was going to throw my body out to sea. There, dear, now don't think about it.
Oh, you're so right about Claude. He tried to warn me. That's why he tried to kill her with my talk.
That's the way it figures, all right. But, Chief, I don't get Walper's part in all this. Was he in on the con game?
No, Harrington. Walper was in on a much bigger game. The answer is in those cases in the dory.
The wooden cases?
Yes. Can you walk all right, Miss Scott?
Yes, I'll be fine now.
Give her a hand, Harrington. Let's go.
Good.
Be careful stepping on the dock here.
But, Chief, what do you mean those cases in the dory of the answer?
Come on, I'll show you. Oh, bring that crowbar, Harrington.
Hey, this dory is full of cases of supplies.
I don't think they're all supplies. I'll open this one. Now we'll just push aside some of this sawdust. There.
Wow. Look at that.
Mr. Garrett, that looks like a bar of gold, solid gold.
Exactly what it is, Miss Miller. And this little boat is loaded with those golden bars. Mr. Walper was taking them to Singapore.
But why?
For a tremendous and illegal profit. You see, gold here in the United States is pegged at $35 an ounce. But in Singapore, on the black market, Walper could sell it easily at $80 an ounce.
Yeah, a nice bit of exporting, all right. Well, what do we do now, Chief?
You stay here until we can get the harbor authorities to round up the rest of the crew. In the meantime, I think Miss Scott would like to see her sister.
Oh, I would, Mr. Garrett. More than anything in the world.
This is David Bryan. I hope you enjoyed this case from the files of Mr. District Attorney. I'll be back in just a moment after this message from our sponsor.
star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
It was not very long after that you probably read in your newspapers about the conviction of the man we called Walper on the charge of first-degree murder, along with his henchman Skipper. You may have also read of the rounding up the various members of the vicious gold smuggling gang and the federal punishments meted out to them. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Philip H. Lord.